All right, man. We're live.
What's up?
How you guys doing?
It's the second man cave within 6 months. I think we're rolling right now.
You guys must have spring fever or something.
That's it. I was all excited, man. It's like we gotta get on the YouTubes.
We're on fire, man.
So how's everybody doing?
Good, man. It's Monday.
Busy.
Yeah.
Super busy.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Constant running.
Yep.
How about you?
Go lay down.
All I seem to do is work.
Yeah. Ozzy's here.
Yeah. I was telling George, I just gave him some. We got some hemp treats. Kind of mellows him out. I think it's just starting to kick in. Lay down, bub. You're all right. He's something. All right, we already got people chiming in. Holy crap! Yep. What's up, everybody?
What's up, MT? Mick, miss you.
So we were. I was talking to the guys about. I don't know if everybody's paying attention to this AI bullshit that's going on, and I've been thinking about it, with the music and all that. And then John, the vinyl archivist, he did a video about it. So I messaged him. I'm like, dude, yeah, I've been thinking about it too. It's a great video and everything. And hopefully he's going to join us tonight. He had some family stuff going on, but might come in later.
Okay.
But it's just kind of crazy what's going on, where we're headed. And we just thought we'd do a video or ask everybody if they want to do a video talking about it, because it's kind of scary to me what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, is it the wave of the future? Is it just going to be a fad? Is it going to stick or not?
Right. Well, the thing got me was the video that John shared was like all AI generated music.
Yeah.
And it was full on like a power metal thing that I never would have known it was a computer.
Yeah.
And, if I'd have stumbled.
Yeah, that was incredible. That clip you sent me.
Yeah.
Like, dang.
Yeah. It's scary. And I've seen some other ones like where they take one of the Beatles and put over top of a Nirvana song.
Yeah, those are some of the ones I've seen. Yeah, where they took like Freddie Mercury but with those I could tell. I mean, there's that human thing that's missing. The pause, even the breath is missing on some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's totally like that clip you sent, it's a little different because that was just they're not taking somebody's voice, so they had to record, like pull like words from certain voices or the tone of the voice, however they do it.
Right, but it's like we're kind of in the infancy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, where's this going to be in 5 years? And
well, they're already testing it in radio. There's
really?
I think it's called Skynet or something like that. That's doing it on radios. They did a AI radio station basically, or a jock. And so, I mean, it's not even like, when jocks used to go in and do voiceovers. There was one thing, they put it down on tape and they played at midnight, some overnight. Right. Now there's nobody there. They don't need the jocks. You got an AI voice. They give them, program the script, whatever they want to say. Here's Metallica coming up, and that's it. And it's just all automated, fake voice. And yeah, you just eliminated all those jobs.
So
I mean, the radio's struggling already. So now that's
the same thing with art. I mean, all these AI generated graphic design projects and covers. I worked with a band that we put an album out for him, and after the fact, he found out the artist that he paid to do the cover for him generated AI, and he was beyond upset about it. And I'm like, well, it's a nice cover. You got what you paid for. So I don't know what's. I mean, I get that he, wanted the artist to create him something, but eventually, I think it's going to take away our jobs, a lot of our jobs. Take away my job for sure.
I was talking to a friend. I haven't seen it, but he was telling me he saw where they gave AI like all these different songs and asked it to generate art for these songs. Like, he said like there was a real cool Sabbath one. I can't remember what song it was, but he said most of them were really freaking cool and kind of you could see the song within the art. It's like, man, that's just insane. Yeah. And actually, I thought, Scott, I thought you'd be good on here talking about this too, because like you're coming at it from another angle too with the art and everything. I mean, it's going to affect everything art wise. I think
even photography. I mean, I was on a KISS Facebook page, and this dude was posting all these pictures of fake pictures of Kiss that were like show Paul Stanley playing Gene Simmons bass while on stage, and it looked like a real photo of Paul Stanley playing that Axe bass. I'm like, damn.
So what are we going to believe going forward? Anything? I mean, like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna
especially when you start getting like archival box sets of all these bands, like with demos.
Just get ready to say that in 3 or 4 years, when a big box set comes out of your favorite band and there's like 5 unreleased tracks.
How do you know?
How do you know?
Right.
Or would they use
unless
touch stuff up? Or,
yeah.
Well, it's like Kiss is the perfect example. Like, there was this song back, I think Scott probably knows too this, but wasn't there a song recorded during double platinum or right around that era called Queen for a Day or something that Ace was supposed to sing?
I've heard that rumor, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, they recorded it, but they never put it out. And then, you read the biographies over the years. And I think 3 of the 4 biographies said, he never put vocals down on it. So now, 5 years from now, I guarantee Queen for a Day is going to be on some Kiss box set with his vocals on it.
Yep.
And that pulls out the whole live aspect of it too. I mean, obviously, if you're going to create a AI band or music, I mean, that's not going to be live. It's just to sell downloads. I mean, that's
which is pretty much what a lot of people are doing anyhow. And they're not even doing that. They're just everything's being streamed.
Yeah.
So I don't know anybody putting music on their phone anymore. Very few people anyhow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's get everybody knows. I just kind of want to say this. Everybody knows I've been kind of anti-digital for a while.
Yeah, that's true. Isn't that the truth?
Metal Theo.
Yeah. So,
excuse me.
But look at what it went from, okay, you record a bar of music and just repeat it for how many times you need. You can auto-tune everything. You can put everything, make sure everything's in time. There's nothing out. So we go from that, and now we just keep progressing progressing until we don't need you. The computer can do everything now, and that's kind of where we're at now. So,
oh yeah, like Aaron just said, I guarantee that's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's already happened. I've already heard snippets of Bon Scott AI bot stuff, and I'm pretty blown away by some of it. But
so to
that's
me, this
weird. I'm sorry, but
I mean,
I don't know that I'd ever get used to that.
I just
New
don't know.
song with Bon Scott. Really? He's been dead for 4 decades.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, is it just going to be a little novelty thing, though? I mean,
That's what it's
you're
going
going to come up with a band, it's going to be the AI band. Who's your favorite AI band? Oh, well, this is.
I don't think it'll be a novelty. I think the music we listen to now will be a novelty, because if you're a label and whoever Taylor Swift sounding music is big, why not have the computer generate some more
of it,
stuff that sounds like that, and you don't have to pay an artist?
Well, that's the
right.
The big
it's
deal.
It's all cash for the creator, I guess. Whether it's a label or just some guy in his
that's who's going to push it. I mean, that's what's going to be big, because I mean, I was reading some of the comments on that one video I sent you guys that John posted, and everybody's like, "Wow, can't wait to hear where we're going to be in 5 years. This is amazing, blah, blah, blah." And I'm just thinking,
you're the other way around.
Yeah, this is fucked up, man. You guys realize?
And
it's not even
plug
just
me in with a
too.
guitar.
I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone before the show, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to be doing the show on AI." He goes, and he started talking about. He's like, "Yeah, I use it for all kinds of stuff." He said, "I use a certain app to create my contracts." He says, "I just tell the AI app, I need a contract for this, and then I go in and it creates the whole thing, and all I got to do is go in and modify it a little bit, and I don't even have to modify it. I just tell it to modify it."
It's crazy.
Yep. So you don't even need a lawyer. I mean, it creates the contract for you.
Now, is anything
in my world? Yeah. What I do in media, it has. They're testing it out. We'll probably switch a lot of stuff over to that. The editors are already doing that.
Wow.
So we're just starting to see that as well. I mean, there's been emails flying around about it. So, Yeah, I mean, and it's basically to be able to write stories for reporters and stuff. So it's yeah. It's good. Like you said, it probably affect everything. I'm just curious how it affect the music industry, but
Well,
I mean, because I can see what Sky just said and how it's helping you do your work or whatever like that. Does that take away from people's jobs? Sure, there goes your secretary or somebody to copyright or a copywriter and proofreaders and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think the dogs agree too. How do we know those were real dogs? I don't know.
It's fucking spring. The doors open, so they're running it now.
yeah, I was even talking to LJ real quick about it, and
Who?
LJ.
But what he does, he was like, yeah, we've already gotten something from corporate, no AI is to be used. I mean, I won't go into what he does, but it's like no AI is to be used during business hours. It's like, wow.
Okay, that's interesting.
I saw a program online too that they were talking not online on TV where they were talking about all these college kids writing their papers for college.
Oh yeah, they're all getting nailed for it this year.
Yeah.
Well, evidently I saw something about that also, and they even have programs now to run those through to see if they were AI generated.
Yep, that's how they're getting nailed.
How does it? I mean, how does it know?
I have no idea.
I would imagine it's got to have some kind of coding that it reads in the way the sentence is formed, or it's got. I mean, if it can run write a whole thesis, it could check to see if it's been.
Yeah.
Already printed out or already sent to somebody
nuts.
else.
The whole thing is nuts.
Yeah,
but it's coming. It's happening, whether we like it or not. Unfortunately,
it's not, and it isn't going to end well for anybody. It's not. It's going to kill the music business. It's going to kill the movie business unless you don't give a fuck about AI generated bullshit. Then
no, because the movies already you got the CGI stuff. I mean, that's.
I don't. Yeah, it's funny because I don't hardly watch movies anymore. Not that
I don't either. I don't know.
Part because it's an old movie. I'm not running.
I'll talk to my wife. I'm like, is there anything good to? Let's go to the movies. Is there anything good? No. Yeah. Never mind.
I don't watch hardly anything new other than I'm a comic book nerd. I'll watch the superhero stuff. But that's it.
I even gave up on them.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't watched any of the big budget new films probably since pandemic.
And they're like a new Guardians of the Galaxy out or something like that.
Yeah,
it could be.
Yeah, I mean, it's all tanking. The whole movie industry is tanking. Nobody's going to movies anymore.
Oh no, the movie. Yeah, that industry, the theaters is dead. I mean, it has to be because everybody's streaming. You got all these stream channels.
Well, what's screwed up is streaming is tanking too. I heard an interview about that.
Yeah, because there's way too many services now, so that's why it
look at HBO. They're like
everybody's numbers drop because there's 100 fucking services now. So
well, they said the big thing, especially with younger people, is hey, whatever Disney puts out a new show, they get it, they pay for it, and when that show's done, they turn it off. So they might only get 2 months.
Yeah, they're doing monthly things. Yeah,
right. So that really affects them.
So then they'll just go to pay-per-view then. They'll just do the pay-per-view thing like on YouTube. You can rent, you can get the movie for $3 and watch it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's got to kill something like Disney though. It's got to absolutely destroy animation and that kind of thing. I mean, I saw
there you go, AI. I mean,
yeah.
Imagine what it's going to do with animation, and imagine in 10 years are they going to be able to make a new John Wayne movie?
Yeah,
10 years. They could do that now with the CGI. Look with Star Wars, they brought Leia back, in the last one of the Star Wars, and they just took her images from the other films or whatever and CGI'd it all together.
Well, they had a young Luke Skywalker at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian, but I'm sure that takes a lot to do.
Thanks for the spoiler.
But it's only been a year and a half ago. Yeah. But imagine if all you got to do is tell the computer what you want, and then in 10 minutes or whatever you got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look at Bruce Willis. He signed off his likeness for the rest of eternity.
Well, that's another thing. These labels.
Did he sign it off though, or does his family get
Well, I'm sure
royalties?
I'm sure they get a cut. I would imagine,
But he made a deal saying you could use my image and whatever.
anything.
And but here the he'll get royalties whatever it's on, whether it's TV, movies.
I mean, they can make Die Hard movies until the fucking sun burns out at this point.
Well, is that the next phase for music? Because all these older guys, like Dylan and all of them, are selling their discographies or their rights or whatever. So is the next thing they're going to sell their likeness?
They're smart. They know they're getting out now. That's why they're all selling off all their music.
But are they going to go to the label and say, hey, for this amount of money, you can make more music that sounds like me?
No.
I guarantee they do it.
I don't think they do with the big guys like Dylan. And I don't think so.
Who would have thought Dylan would have sold off his music?
I know.
If Dylan has a song in the can somewhere, and they say, okay, well, here's a song that never went out. Let's get the AI voice to it and make it sound like Dylan. And here's an unreleased song.
Well, look,
after Dylan's dead or whatever.
I wouldn't put it. I mean, they'll definitely do that. Yes.
I mean, it's not even like
I hope
finding vocal on tape in some vault somewhere. He legitimately just created a song just off because he wrote a poem down somewhere.
There was I don't know Drake from shit, but I read that there was a Drake song AI generated on Spotify.
Drake and Beyonce,
and went nuts. Yeah. Like got all kind of hits, streaming, whatever.
It had over 1 million streams in the first 3 hours it was dropped or something.
And they're like, that's not Jake, they're Drake. And they made him take it down.
Yeah. But it sounded just like both of them.
Yeah, if you could fool everybody like that.
Look how many people it's fooled. You know how many people love that song?
Yeah.
A lot.
I would like to do a test. Just give me the real voice, give me that, and let me decide I wonder how I would do on that.
I can get you a test. I'll send it to you. I have an AI thing that I think
so you could tell is that real or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure there's something out there. I just never looked it up.
Some of the voices you can't tell. You can't tell. Some you can, like you said, the breathing, where they take a gasp at the beginning of a verse or something like that. It's just too quiet. Then you could tell, all right, that might be generated. But now it's like any serious music fan is gonna, anything new that comes out from an old band,
you're gonna question everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, is this real?
Okay, well, Kiss. Everybody's always said eventually Gene and Paul is going to step down. Somebody's going to fill their boots and keep going, and Gene and Paul just get a cut of it or whatever.
It's gonna become a Vegas show with anybody on the makeup. It's gonna be like remember Beatlemania kind of thing,
right?
Or was it when they did that Broadway show kind of thing? It's gonna be that in Vegas. It's gonna be a show.
So saying that, if the label went to Gene and Paul and said, "Hey, we want to pay you for your sound, your likeness. We'll make new Kiss songs that sound like the 70s, whatever you want, whatever we want."
Oh, I have no doubt that they would whore themselves out in a heart.
Gene probably already had made that deal.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Probably already done.
It'll happen.
God, I fucking hate Gene Simmons.
I think it'll get to the point where there's hardly any musicians. Musicians will be all underground, and the labels will just put out AI generated.
It's going to go back to studio musicians just recording sound like they did. I remember in Sound City, Jim Kelter or whatever said he was the guy that played the drums for the drum machines and stuff.
Yeah,
they recorded his drum beats, put it programmed into the drum machines, and that was it. So you're going to have one guy just do a bunch of different guitar, chords and stuff, and that's it, and that's going to be all programmed into AI, whoever it is.
It's just like today they're all using the same programs to record on their computers.
Yeah,
and everybody
Pro Tools. Everybody's using Pro Tools these days,
right? And that's what set me off. It's like you guys all sound the same. All your guitars sound the same to me.
You've definitely lost some of you can hear a Queen song and immediately that's Freddie Mercury's guitar sound. Even if it's just a few seconds of it, because he's got that unique guitar tone.
Yeah, Brian May. Yeah.
Yep. But
there was an art to it back then. We talked about this when I'm bitching again, but going into different studios around the world, getting different sounds. Like I remember watching something not long ago, and it was about the early Van Halen recordings, and they were at the studio they recorded at, and the guys that worked on it with them were there, and they were listening to tracks, you know what I mean, and isolating stuff, and they're like, "Oh, that was recorded in Studio 3, the big room." He's like, "No, I don't think. Listen." He goes, "Oh, I think you're right. That's in 2." You know what I mean? It was like, there was an art to it, and it was something different. Now it's like, man, just plug it into your computer, and everybody using the same shit, the same drums, the same guitar tone, and all that. It just
that was all brought up in that Sound City documentary.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know where it's gonna go, man.
Is it? I mean, I almost look at it as like, man, I feel like I'm just the old guy complaining about what's happening in the future. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like my parents were bitching about the cell phones and how stupid they are, and what do you need a cell phone for, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we just need it in case of emergencies. Yeah, right. Now we can't live without the damn things, right?
Right. Is that good or bad?
Right.
I'll be at work and walk through the break room, and it'll be 10 people sitting in there, and they're all
doing this.
Oh, it's like that. I go to work on a train. Everybody's down. It's like
nobody says a
heads
word.
in the phone, and I'm like,
so
I'll look around. And I'm like,
I'm as guilty as anybody else about doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll wait for something to pop off so they can film it and have like a million hits on fucking whatever, some social.
I mean,
media.
even social media. I mean, what is there any actual interaction going on anymore, or is everybody just talking on and keyboard warriors, on their computers these days?
Oh yeah, there's that.
I use it very little, other than like the couple groups we have set up. You know what I mean?
I've pulled back.
I hardly
do stuff
post
a lot.
anything.
No, I don't do it.
I don't do social media anymore, except for talking to you guys on Facebook or my family on Facebook, whatever. That's about it.
Well, everybody has the attention span of about 5 seconds, so that's why your TikToks and your Reels are really popular. Everybody's just flipping through these little video things.
Yep. And I've got like Instagram has that crap too.
Reels. Yeah.
I don't know how to use Instagram. I'll just take a picture of a record and I put it up. I don't know how to hashtag and all that crap.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'll somehow get like, what is this? And click on a video. Next thing I know, it's like 15 minutes later and I'm through like 300 of these things.
15,
like,
that's not bad. Next thing it's an hour and a half. I go, what the?
Yeah.
I look up, I'm like, what have I been doing, man? I got to go to sleep. It's like usually when I'm going to go to bed, I'll check something.
So I try and stay away from it, man. It's just not.
I only post music because God forbid you should say something stupid on there and people lose their freaking minds over it. So.
I don't comment on stuff.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've written a comment and then deleted it? Like, no, I'm not going to put it.
Yeah, I don't even bother anymore.
Why? I don't. I deal with idiots. Yeah.
It was a few years ago. I wrote something about going to. I can't remember where we were going, a wedding or something like that. But it was at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, and I wrote that in the thing. Hey, we're going to the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, and a bunch of people lost their minds. They're like, "How racist are you for saying Indian?" And I'm like, that's the name of the place. Yeah, but it's not Indian. They're not from India. I'm like, they're Native Americans. I'm like, I realize that, but it's called the Indian Cultural Pueblo Center. That's where we're going.
Contact them.
I'm not posting anything. I'm posting a picture of the album. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah. That's about where I'm at.
But don't post House to the Holy, because then,
I just like, I like fucking with people on Facebook. So I'll put up something like that. I know I have 3 cousins on there that it drives them nuts when I put anything anti-Trump up there. And the only reason I do it is just to piss them off. I don't give a fuck. And every time I post something, it's the 3 commenting, and I'm just like, come on, man.
They take the bait, huh?
Yeah,
that's
all
like
the time.
90% of all that crap is the political stuff, the social justice stuff.
I got sucked into it after Trump won in 2016, like, because I was just shocked that he won. Like, I didn't really know why he won until because I wasn't into politics then. And then I got studying everything and reading everything. And it's like, you know what? Just because Trump's an asshole doesn't mean Biden's any better. And you know what I mean? Like, they're all fucking jerk offs. So
exactly. That's where I'm at, man.
It's crazy, man. Like, I wish that guys like us didn't even have to have that shit on on our cell phones. And, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even need to see it. I don't give a fuck anymore really about that stuff. So,
To be honest, mine isn't too bad when I go on there. I get a little bit of it, but not
that's
much.
all it is. It's all it is. Anytime I click on my phone by accident into like Twitter, and I don't even have to sign in anymore, and it's all like stuff that I don't agree with. You know what I mean? Like,
so all I post is music, mostly pictures of records that I'm playing, that kind of thing. So pretty much that's all that comes up in my feed. But I have 2 dachshund puppies that we got about a year ago, and I looked up a couple of videos, and all of a sudden now I'm getting all dachshund. I mean, I can probably go to my phone right now, open up one of these stupid apps, and I'll bet there's some dachshund thing on there. And all I did was look up one thing on dachshunds.
Oh yeah,
you would like my partner at the shop, man. He's a dachshund guy.
You go looking up something to buy somewhere, and next thing you know, you're getting those ads in your feeds. I mean, that's just the cookies and the algorithm things, and just the metadata and all that. Just oh, you looked at this, and next thing you know, you're getting ads for everything that you looked at. Speakers or whatever it is.
There it is. All I did was open up Instagram, and the first thing up, a dachshund.
I don't even have.
I've been posting records and CDs for years. I post one thing about dachshunds, and that's what my feed is now.
That's funny.
You guys post your records all on Instagram all the time still, or no?
Yeah, I do that. And some concert clips.
Shit, man, I never ever.
It's just music stuff. I very rarely will. I mean, once in a while, picture of me being somewhere or something.
What's the other one? Click Clock or TikTok or whatever it is.
Click Clock. That's my favorite.
Clock. Yeah, Click Clock is the one with all the horses. And,
hey, I would rather watch that. I would watch that horses for sure than fucking dumbasses eating hot peppers or something.
And then Rumble's another one that people are flocking to at the moment too. So.
Oh yeah, I did put something on Rumble just to.
What's Rumble, like porn stuff?
Rumble is Rumble is the new YouTube. It's kind of rolling over YouTube.
Really?
Never
heard.
It's a lot of people leaving YouTube, heading over to Rumble.
It's not as heavy copyrights.
Yeah, they're not constantly shutting your videos down and giving you copyright clicks. And my son has a YouTube channel called "We're Going on a Beer Hunt." Not a bear hunt, a beer hunt, and he does beer reviews and stupid, silly videos, and he'll put like itty bitty, like 2-second clips of Family Guy or something like that. He'll say something stupid, then he'll put the Family Guy guy. He's had his videos several times on YouTube taken down just because of some copyrights for a 2-second clip.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are heading over to Rumble because of that. So it's just another YouTube is all it is. But it's unfortunately for us YouTube people, it's beginning really popular.
Yeah. Hey John, good to see you, man. Hip Hop something there.
Oh,
hey George.
Yeah, I went and opened up I did my channel on that Rumble too. Put up some of the videos that I have on YouTube just to have a channel up there and see what happens with it.
George, I just sent you a email. Send that link out to that.
The email?
I texted it to you. Sorry.
So we were talking about politics a few minutes ago. You think that AI can go to the point where it becomes we don't even need a president because we have an AI taking over the government?
That's the 1984 thing stuff.
AI judges.
Yeah.
Deciding cases.
Judge Dredd.
I mean, it depends on. Hey, you got a link coming, Zeke. I mean, it's like how much is humanity going to hand over? How, you know what I mean? It may get to that point where you have judges that are AI. They can be totally impartial and know the law front and back.
And the way you think. Well, there's the other thing is the people that are going to program that. Who are they? Who selects that? So if you get, I don't want to get into the politics thing, but if you get somebody on either side and they program these AIs, that's you're going to get that. It's not going to be. It's not a fair thing. And then even on the music side of it, like I said, man, you're going to have your favorite AI bands, and then they could create the whole thing. Use AI for the audio and stuff, and then you got CGI and stuff for visual. I mean, is this a real band or not?
I can see it taking off. I really could. I mean, you even bands like what's that Japanese band with the two girls in the front that everybody's into?
Baby Metal.
Baby Metal. I mean, they've got a bunch of generic musicians playing in that band. I'm not saying they're bad musicians; they're just unnamed generic musicians. You could throw anybody in there playing it. They've got generic songwriters writing all their music for them, and then they just throw these pretty girls in front of it. You know, these little cute girls singing and dancing around in their little dresses, and people go gaga over that crap. I'm not a big fan myself, obviously, but
No, but
I mean,
they're catering to this, the teens. So yeah, they're gonna eat it up.
but people buy it; they love it.
Yeah. So
So
that's
why
what
not-
I
why
mean.
not-
We thought Space Invaders was the greatest thing. So it's just different.
That's what I mean. The labels are going to cater to what's popular, right? So if they can just if they can just
Hey, Patrick.
pump stuff out with a computer.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I don't know if it's a good thing or not.
Yeah, I think it's gonna suck.
I mean, I see the same thing with like video games. Video games have become like watching a movie almost these days.
Oh yeah.
I don't play video
I'm not-
games. My
neither.
son does, and my grandkids do because I'm old, and and I watch my grandkids playing, and it looks like a friggin' movie. I mean, it looks like actual people on there, and they're walking around and all the scenery, and they're looking around like, damn,
Yeah,
that's
I've
a
done
long
that.
way
So,
from
what movie
long
is
way from
this?
Joust and
the
Pac-Man.
game. What?
yeah. Anyhow, so I don't know. I can see it taking off and being really popular.
Yeah, but like, are we gonna hear old style Van Halen with David Lee Roth singing on some like new Van Halen record that is gonna be artificially done up?
Enhanced? I
Yeah,
don't know.
That's possible. I honestly think it's going to be more of a future thing. No, it's going to be more for creating new bands and new sounds, and especially
yeah.
I mean,
definitely for that. Yeah, for
pop
sure.
music, especially pop music. But I don't know. Maybe I could see them doing an old Van Halen or an old Kiss or whatever. Ronnie James Dio. Hey, Ronnie James Dio's got a new song out.
I think that'll happen
No,
without a doubt.
that's what I'm afraid of.
We got the
Yeah,
hologram stuff.
I mean, that's what I was going to say. They're almost doing it with the hologram thing. They got him on, touring on stage with, and he's been dead for what, 10 years
You
now?
put that technology with the AI to create the voice better and everything, and I don't know. You get a big package, and it's just all computer generated and everything. It's not the real deal. And
Yep.
will people get into that or not? It's funny. John brought up the Monkees, and that's kind of an interesting point for that time. Yeah, the Monkees were technically a fabricated band. So,
What's going on, brother?
Hey,
But
what's
they're-
hey,
up?
Zach.
Hi.
But they played instruments and they could sing, and
Right. It
I
turned
mean,
out that
you
way.
don't have to
but
be good. You can. I mean, the Sex Pistols were awful musicians, but they still put out music. But
Yeah.
the same thing with the Monkees. Even though there were a lot of bands are thrown together, by different things.
yeah.
But they were actual musicians, and they actually had personalities and a sound. Unlike, like I was saying with the Baby Metal, it's just a bunch of people in masks. You have no idea who's back there playing those things.
It was a
yeah.
of cream.
So what are your thoughts there, Zach?
Well, I've been going to a lot of shows, man. Friday night I saw Danzig sings Elvis, and that I thought was the vocals were heavily digitally enhanced in
Think
terms
so?
of. Well, I mean, Elvis used a lot of like tremolo and slapback echo and effect and stuff already, but I felt like. It reminded me when the last time I saw Judas Priest and Rob Halford, that he's got the Harley on stage, and it just kind of seemed like to me that Harley is a effect, like it's got buttons on it, and he's pushing it to enhance his vocals and do those vocal acrobatics, and just to get the high notes to kind of echo and stuff, So the technology being where it is now. And not only that, but like recently I went to last weekend, I drove like an hour away to see ZZ Top, and I'm getting real spoiled here in Vegas. And this was like a fairgrounds with, bleachers and, porta potties and stuff. But, man, the effects and stuff are just so digitized now. Everything's so digitized. they really don't even need amps. They don't need amps at all. Because they're miking the amp and going through the house PA anyway. And, you know, on the board, they'd rather, the guys on the board, the sound guys would rather them just completely do away with all their effects and amps and just completely go straight to the board. And the technology is just changing things. I don't know, man.
We went to a show, a local show.
For Vance.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point there, John. I mean, but it'd be more of a novelty, I guess. And you know, it's not knowing that it's not the real deal. But you get a young kid that doesn't know any better, or knows any of the history of it, and they could think, "Oh, well, there's a unreleased Led Zeppelin song or something." Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you know, those mashups are, you know, kind of thinking of those mashups that people do with like two artists and stuff. Or, you know, they're fun to watch. Or kind of cool.
I heard one today.
But what I consider, you know.
I heard a fake mashup thing today.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, this is cool. It was it was Jim Morrison, and the music was like fucking techno. And Jim Morrison was singing, you know, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I was like, whatever. I wasn't, you know, it was on the back.
But it's a novelty. It's not like you're to run out. You don't want to. You're not going to spend money on a download of that or something like that. I don't know.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of the world doesn't even give a crap, though. I mean, who's creating the music? I went to work one time, and I was the supervisor over like 8 different people in that department. And I walk into the one department to talk to the girl who's working there. She was playing music out of her. I don't know what she had up there, but it was streaming. What she was listening to was AC/DC, but it was clearly not actually AC/DC. It was some, you know, cover band or some fake. So I said, "What are you listening to?" She goes, "Oh, I'm listening to AC/DC." I said, "That's not AC/DC." Because yes, it is. I think she was saying Spotify was before AC/DC.
She wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's not AC/DC." She goes, "Yeah, it is." I'm like, "I'm telling you, that's not AC." I said,
"You would know, but she wouldn't
play
know."
You the song. This is AC/DC. She says, I don't hear the difference."
Right.
Yeah.
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 And it was some cover band playing
right
AC/DC.
there, really. I mean, yeah.
Was that the generation that's going to just accept all this?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, whatever. It sounds
They
good.
don't
I don't
They
care
any-
don't give a fuck about anything as it is.
I don't know.
now.
They don't give a fuck, but I think they're just not
You
educated.
kidding me? I got fucking 3 of them at home. They don't give a fuck, man.
Yeah.
I mean, once these kids started paying big money to see a dude on a laptop, like, you know,
It was over.
It was over, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, man, press that button on that laptop. I mean, and they were like really good. I just saw a clip recently of this cute DJ girl. She's got like a fake, it's like just fake buttons and stuff. And she's like pressing the buttons and like trying to pump up the crowd. And, but it's like that. It's not even there's nothing there, but it looks like she's jamming stuff and like looks like she's doing turntable stuff. But
This
she's
is why it makes me hate people even more.
That's why I hate people.
It is. I hate the fakeness
I could
of
do that.
everything everywhere now. It's fucking
I'll check him out.
says what it is.
I mean,
Duncan.
it's
Oh,
super
check it
cool.
But Zeke, you were talking about the
One of my
shows
boys.
and all that. But we just went the other day and saw a couple local bands. And the first band, it's outside, and they got a sound guy back there, the snake running up through, and they're doing all this stuff, and they sounded great. The next band starts setting up, and they tear down the soundboard, take everything away, and I'm like, well, what the hell's going on? The next thing you know, the other band sets up, and they start plugging in. A dude comes out and stands in the middle of the crowd with a tablet.
Right.
And they're checking, and he's like, and within 5 minutes, they started playing.
Right. That's their
What are they
sound.
playing through?
They had a nice big PA. They sounded great. They were
But
the
then the
Amish
soundboard
Outlaws.
was the iPad or whatever
Yeah.
it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that too.
I mean,
Wow.
I get it. I
He
totally get it.
just sets everything, and they
Yeah.
sounded fantastic. I posted the quick picture where they were doing the Bee Gees and all that. It's those Amish Outlaw guys. They're funny. They're really good. They play everything from Rat, Van Halen, to Bee Gees, and Snoop
That
Dogg.
looked fun. I saw your thing on Facebook. I was like,
Yeah.
it's probably awesome,
Yeah, it was a good time, but it was like, wow. And after he said that, he never come back out, and they sounded fine the rest of the show.
Yeah, they could dial that shit in pretty good nowadays, man.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. Yesterday I saw the Melvins and Mr. Bungle, and it was part of this Sick World tour. And like on Saturday, they had it was like 20 bands. There was like Ministry and System of a Down and Orgy. And there was like tons of it. I can't, there's so many. Skinny Puppy was there. I know that. But I didn't go see that because I was like, man, that's like 20 bands, and it's in this hot sun. It's hot here in Vegas, man. Like, that's I can't even. I'm like, they're gonna be drinking. I don't even know how you can do that. But they just set one up and tear one down, and it's just like they're just rotating stage, and I mean,
yeah.
The technology they have now, it's just like it's crazy. But if you had to do that old school and like move a bunch of Marshall stacks and all this stuff, you can't, man. You can't do that. There's no way. I mean, it's too slow and it's too cumbersome, and it doesn't make sense anymore. This stuff like logistically doesn't make sense because the reason they had 20 bands together was because System of a Down got messed up, and then they had to put 20 bands in one bill in like one day, and tickets were like $250. I'm like, man, some of this stuff doesn't even make sense anymore. I mean, you can just stream concerts and everything, but it's just not what it's about, man. People are there to be in the crowd and to. I saw Iggy Pop. I saw Iggy Pop last weekend or like weekend before that, and Duff McKagan was on bass from Guns N' Roses, and
with Iggy.
Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers was on drums. And it was the same guys because I saw Eddie Vedder and the Earthlings, and it had Chad Smith on drums, and then the two guys with the guitar players were like roadies for the I think, I don't know, but anyway,
it was John Frusciante or whatever from the Peppers.
No, it wasn't
guitar,
John Frusciante. It was like their producer or whatever was on guitar.
Okay.
But I did see I actually did see the Chili Peppers recently with John Frusciante. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but Iggy was like trying to get the crowd to crowd surf and stage dive and smosh and shit, and the security was like not having it. I've never seen this before, but Iggy tried to jump into the crowd and security threw him back on stage. I was like, man, I've never seen that ever.
Wow.
I mean, they don't want it, the venues don't want it.
Well, like you guys were saying, I mean, we're to the point where a DJ can draw 20,000-30,000 people.
It's a business, man. The venue would much rather have that DJ.
So are we?
It's easier for them,
Yeah. So are we at the end of like bands? I mean, rock's kind of underground now. I mean,
we're on the downward. We're on the downward.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they literally changed what a gold and platinum record is. The sales are, they had to actually change what the numbers are for those things.
I'm
it's
sure
no longer selling.
They finally changed them here in the States.
Yeah, finally.
Well, they did. Fine. See, I didn't know that.
What can you? Didn't there have been like some number one albums that sold like 20,000 copies or something stupid like that, like insanely low amount and got number one?
Exactly.
Yeah. So they're lower now. So like a million copies ain't a platinum.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I better start checking the Britney Fox numbers and see. We might have a couple double platinum records now.
I mean, all the money for them is in live performance. They're going to make way more because they're not going to make any money from the streaming and album sales and shit. They're not making big money like that anymore.
Yeah, I've heard there's like nothing in that for streaming.
I mean, like pennies on the,
Yeah.
I like laughable. I've seen some major artists be like, I got 650,000. I got a check for like $8.50 or something.
Right.
It's like a percentage of a penny that they get.
Right. I mean, that's you're not going to make a living on that,
Well, now I see the government is talking to the car industry, begging them not to take AM and FM radio out of their vehicles. Is that where we're freaking at?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The audio industry feels that they're pulling AM radios out, and the FCC
they are. They also they also pulled the CD players out, but they got lobbied, and now they're going to be putting those back in.
The CD
good.
players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that could boom the CD things.
Yeah, they. I mean,
Hit up your Goodwills, boys.
I have to.
I love
I can't remember the names of the companies, but it was a bunch of the distribution companies got together and basically lobbied to get them put back in, and apparently that's going to happen. So,
wow.
My CD player in my truck gets rocked, man. I play
I have a CD player in my Mustang. I don't listen to the radio. I listen to the CD player.
Yeah,
all the time. I love it, but I don't think I think that when you go, if you got a nice vehicle now and it's new or whatever, and you're like gonna be in the market years down the line, to get a new vehicle, it's gonna be electric. You're not gonna have a choice. It's not gonna have a CD player. There's going to be so many computers in that thing. You're not going to be able to work on it yourself. Probably AM, FM, like entire radio station industry will probably die. I mean, you're talking about very disruptive technologies, man. I mean, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, I'm like, okay, so this company's worth $44 billion. There's 1,200 employees, and he fires 800 of them. So it's like, so what? Each employee's worth $1 billion. Like, this just don't make no sense. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, and then he's talking about he wants to basically change that up so that he can put several other of these companies out of business, you know, and make it like more than what it already is. I'm like, you know, you're going to have huge industries that employ like a couple hundred people, and they're going to put a bunch of people out of work. And there's going to have to be some massive reorganization of what people do for a living, because I just saw something like AI could put millions of people out of work.
Well, these tech places like Twitter, Facebook, and all that, with AI, do they even need humans working there?
They won't. Eventually, they won't need humans working there.
Other than a couple saying, "Hey, here's what we need, make it."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think
there's
you
a couple programmers.
You
Yeah.
absolutely do need, because I've been using AI a lot lately, and I'm really into it. I've been using ChatGPT a lot, and it's super cool. But you still got to go through and actually read that shit and edit that. You know, you can't just rely on the computer to do everything. But I mean, it does all the grunt work. And I
just
definitely
I just looked it up. I was mistaken. They have not changed the golden status yet, or the platinum status. It's still 500,000 units or 1 million units.
Wow. I bet they do change it
I
eventually.
thought they did.
I guess
thought
I guess
I was before they did
supposed
too,
to
but
be gold,
I'm actually
man.
on the RIAA website looking real quick while we're talking here, and it says gold standard is 500,000 units.
Huh.
that I think would be like Beyonce level at this point. I don't know how you could sell 500,000 units, because
I don't know anybody selling that many records.
yeah, nobody buys
But
that.
aren't they counting streams or downloads and
They
all
are
that?
now, yeah.
Oh, maybe they are. I
It's,
don't know.
they're counting downloads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is there a way you can look and tell what was the last thing that went gold or platinum?
I'm looking it up right now.
I guarantee it's like Taylor Swift, that kind of level stuff.
Taylor, I don't know what the Metallica album do.
I don't know if it's sold as well as I thought. John said they count computer download.
Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, that
they'd
makes
add that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I actually feel kind of encouraged by Taylor Swift. I'm like, look, there's like, she's pretty. I mean, it's not my thing, of course, you know, but she's good at what she does, and she's selling a lot of tickets, and she's as big as anybody ever was. Man, she's as big as Madonna was when I was a kid or whatever.
Selling out Soldiers Field here. It's the biggest
I
thing.
mean, you know, she's doing great, and there's plenty of people out there that are still doing good, and I'm glad, you know, people still want to see music, man. I go to shows all the time. They're packed. They're packed. That Melvin show last night was jammed. There was like nowhere to even stand.
I'll tell you one thing about the people who had it from the 70s still have it. still lead I'm on the RIA website, and the Eagles still have the #1 of all time with the greatest hits.
That's crazy.
I think it was the golden era, man, because
Yeah.
they've sold so many units, and then the people who like that music are still buying physical media. So they had it both. They had it then, and they still have it now. So they just got it way better than. You got to figure, like, okay, like Peter Frampton, like people bought the LP, then people bought the CD, then people bought the cassette, then people downloaded the shit. Now they're back to like buying another LP. This guy's like he's been selling people units for like decades. The same people, you know. I mean, and now a new band now can't sell anything.
Well,
They can't even give away their CDs.
Well, you just went and saw the Melvins. You said it was packed.
Yes.
How many units do you think they sold of their last album? I just wonder. I bet it wasn't very high.
Well, you know, the merch tables at metal shows and heavy music, you know, the merch kills.
Oh, those lines are longer than
Merch. I mean, their line yesterday
ridiculous.
was like wrapped all the way around. It was Mr. Bungle too, so it wasn't.
Who's
just
Gail?
Melvin.
Anybody know who Gail is? Gayle. That's the only name on there.
Crystal Gale.
Gail's no, just Gail. Gail's Atlantic Records release.
what's that? Probably a hippity hop.
ABCDEFU was certified 3 times platinum last year. She is the only artist to have gone 3 times platinum in the last 10 years.
Never even
Never even heard of her.
I feel very fucking old because I'm sure she's probably like really popular and none of us know.
She looks like a freaking 16-year-old kid to me, but
Well, she probably
probably
is. Right. I mean, that's
It's
the
probably one of
demographic.
that fucking Nickelodeon. Bebop
Nickelodeon.
shit.
It was like 15 years ago. I remember watching when the girls were still at home, watching some MTV Video Music Awards, and I'm like, I'm fucking old. I have no idea. And that was 15 years
Yeah.
ago. Now it's like I don't even know how to pronounce these people's names half the time or what the hell. You know what I mean? They got all
Or,
these.
or do I care to learn how to pronounce their name?
Yeah, the award shows and all that. I don't watch those anymore. I don't know anything in there.
You know.
You know?
and I always thought AC/DC was one of the top one or two with Back in Black, but they're like number 5 on here.
Yeah. Yep.
Hotel California actually beat out AC/DC.
So TikTok famous song, is that who that Gail is or whatever?
What's up, Eddie?
Mm,
Thanks for jumping in.
I don't know anything about her, man. I'm looking her up too. I'm like
I
in this
have no
rabbit
idea.
trail now. Why is Gail famous? I don't know. Who is she?
So I think
never
it's going to come down to our generation isn't going to accept AI very well, but I think the younger generation is just going to roll with it and not give two shits as far as music
Is it-
goes.
Yeah, because they're going to grow up with it.
No,
It's just going to be what they grew up with.
exactly.
And
They're not going to know
Which
any
is
different.
but
Which
I
is
think some of the
unfortunate.
shit's going to happen is labels are going to put out new Kiss songs that sound
and
like Kiss in the 70s.
exactly what Scott said. It could be, no, this is AC/DC. No, it
I
isn't.
think
This
they
is-
got a lot of stuff.
and they're not
in
gonna know the
vaults
difference.
anyway. I've seen so much reissue live crap now that it's like ridiculous. I mean, they are, and then you can't tell. It was unreleased, so you know they're gonna milk anything they can to make money, and that's just
Yeah, that's what I mean. The labels are just going to put out all this fake AI stuff. It's going to sound like your favorite band, and you're going to be happy. Now, here's another twist. What if your favorite band is making a new album
Hey, Randy.
and goes to AI and says, "Hey, write me a song about my dog and a duck"?
I don't think that's dead wax.
No,
Do you think that's
that's not Randy. Randy would
No.
never say that.
But it is not. It is not.
I can't read the chat, so I don't know what's going on. I see Aaron though. Hey,
Okay.
what's up? Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I can see supposed songwriters using AI to write their songs, or to at least help them write their songs.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not? That's a good
I
point. I
already-
didn't think of that.
I've already tried it.
Bro,
You know, I write constantly. Yeah, I write constantly. So I loaded in 2 verses or 2 sentences of a verse that I had written down, and it filled out the verse for me.
really? Did you like it?
No.
Writing a song though, writing a song is like writing a joke.
Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to try
it's
it.
not
I just
hard,
wanted to
but
see
it's
what
just
happened.
hard to do it good. You know? It's really
Yeah, but
hard.
but I don't know. I can see him using it. I mean, I can see him
Yeah,
using AI.
Second
To help,
verse made no sense.
I can see him.
in retrospect to the first verse. So
I can see him using it to help write music, to help write movies, to help write TV
Books.
shows.
The
books,
emphasis on the word help.
maybe lyrically, yeah. But
I mean, help, sure, but not like do it all. You know,
I don't
You
know.
don't think
That clip
eventually-
you sent me was that clip you sent me with that death metal, melodic power metal thing was all
Not
AI,
bad.
right?
not bad. Like,
It was really good.
Yeah,
have you guys ever seen the movie AI?
Yeah.
You know the movie AI.
yeah. I think I saw it a long time ago. What's up, John?
The first half of that was the last movie that Stanley Kubrick ever made, and he died in the middle of it.
Mhm.
And then Steven Spielberg finished it, and it's kind of scary, you know. Like it's kind of scary because I could totally imagine all of that happening.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I mean, you get to a place like it's almost like in the new Blade Runner, where you know the animals are all fake. You know, the animals are all AI animals and shit. And they were like, "Is that dog a real dog?" And he's like, "I never asked him." You know, and you get to a place where you might be like, I don't care whether it's fake or not, and I'm not sure how much I can tell. It's almost
Right.
like the whole digital argument with MoFis and stuff. It's like if you sourced any of this after like 1981, it's probably at least partially digital. It's probably not analog, you know. So you talk, but whether something is like authentic or not, it's like how authentic are we talking here? Because when they get these old masters of these like 1971 concerts and shit, they have to be cleaning that up digitally.
Oh yeah.
They have to, because like if it was on tape from 1971, there's no way it hasn't disintegrated. There's no way it hasn't been damaged.
Plus, like all these boots we've been buying, I know 90% of those are just digital. They've been floating around forever online.
It has to be.
Yeah. So, all right. John just joined us. Thanks. He's kind of the one
Yes.
that,
What's up, John?
like I said, I've been thinking about this stuff, and he posted the video and was like, well, yeah, let's go on live and talk about some of this. Your video was great. Some of the stuff you touched on. And I sent the song around. The
Frostbite Orc Kings.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and did anybody else hear one or the other? I heard a little bit of your conversation before, before I jumped in. And on top of the Frostbite Orc Kings things, which is completely created by AI. And from what I understand with that song, they I think there's a website now. It's called the Metal Verse, where you can go, and what these people have done is they've brought in studio musicians who I guess play all kinds of what you would consider metal kind of cliches, vocal things and stuff like that. And that's what the AI is using to analyze. And then the AI is taking that and it's creating these songs. But the other thing that I linked in my video was, and I don't know if anybody's heard anything like this, where they're taking a singer and putting their voice on another song. So the link that I had was Paul McCartney singing Tears in Heaven. And if you didn't know any better, if you just played this for a friend and said, hey, here's this demo that Eric Clapton had Paul McCartney sing on this song, you would swear on your life it's Paul McCartney.
It's like a deep
is
fake.
downright scary. And it raises the question of, okay, that you can deep fake someone's voice like this. And I heard you guys talking about bands using AI to help them write songs and things like this. Well, here's something to consider too. Now, imagine if Rob Halford and Judas Priest go in and they take Rob Halford from 1985 all the way back to the first Priest album, and they have an AI computer analyze his voice all the way back. And they say, okay, let's mix. Now, Rob Halford goes in for the latest Judas Priest album, and he says, you know what? Let's mix in 50% of my current voice with 50% of my voice from 1985 back.
Mm-hmm.
Is that ethical? Will people care? Will they even say anything? Maybe Rob just mixes in 20%.
I think a lot of metal fans will be able to tell. Well, no.
I don't think, no, they won't. No way.
Maybe
some of it. It all depends how they do it.
Exactly. If they do it in imagine somebody who's a brand new singer that says, I'm a new singer in a band and I want to use 10% Paul McCartney, 10% Freddie Mercury, 15% Bruce Dickinson. You know what I mean? You could sit there and you could add in all these things and only use 40% of my real voice.
To me, it just seems like having sex with a woman with somebody else's penis. Like, I just don't really understand it, dude. Like,
that's going on now too, apparently.
But you can see somebing thinking
that's a
that
great
they'll
analogy.
do that.
I don't
that
get
they'll
it.
do that and not, think think of it this way. How often have we heard singers that kind of sound like somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not using AI. They just kind of sound like somebody else.
Yeah.
Now imagine somebody doing this, adding 20% Bruce Dickinson into their voice and saying, I didn't use AI. I just kind of sound like Bruce.
Right.
And no one's going to be able to tell. And I admit I think it's unethical. I think it's, fake. And I don't want to pay money for something like this. But eventually something's going to happen where somebody's going to release like that Frostbite Orc Kings. Read the comments. There's a lot of people that are like,
loving it.
oh, I know this is fake, but it's a good song and I like it anyways.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about fake boobs? I mean, are they like, are you like, oh, or are you just like, meh?
Well, I don't like the fake music part of it, but what I'm saying is that people are going to eventually accept it. And let's look at where we're already at with computers. Computers already auto-tune the vocals, and that happens in metal.
That's been happening
Computers
for 20
already
years
trigger sampled drums. That's in metal. Guitar amp plugins. All metal guys use that. They quantize. They fix their sounds. So it's already like almost there with some of this stuff already. And that's the reason why this AI stuff, in my opinion, doesn't sound so crazy like that Frostbite Ore Kings. I played that for some friends and didn't tell them what it was. And they were like, oh yeah, it sounds like some band that'll be opening up for Sabaton or, you know, some generic band on Nuclear Blast. That was like the comments that I got.
It might be good. I mean, it might be good. You might be like, I like this. I mean,
I don't know if I can though.
Could happen.
That's why I don't buy anything anymore.
I mean, I know
because everything what John just said, you know what I mean? They fix everything. And if you've been to a show where they sound good, but that singer can't quite hit that note that he does on the album. Oh, now I know why, because it's all fucking computer fixed.
Well, look at Motley. Look at the big Motley thing, big Motley scam over the last
this tour. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like Nicky's not playing bass, but he's playing along to a bass track. Like,
well, Vince Neil's voice is not what it once was, man. I mean, you know, that's the real. You know what's going to happen?
Well, Vince couldn't sing live even from back in the fucking
even
day,
back then. He was pretty sketchy. But
well, Zeke, are you saying a good song's a good song? You're good with it?
I'm saying, like, you know, if it's good and you can't help it, you're gonna be tapping your toe and shit, like,
yeah, but
you're gonna be like, I don't want to like it, but you know,
I think maybe if you don't know what the art or who the artist is, and you have no like record.
This is why I do think, like, okay, you got old guys like us who've been listening for decades. Okay, you're gonna have a much better ear for. You're gonna be like, that's not Angus Young. You're gonna go, nah, that's not Rob Halford or whatever.
Yeah,
you're gonna know. But,
but
young people aren't gonna know.
Yeah, but personally, I won't support anything like that, and I've kind of stopped supporting that for the last few years. So it's like, yeah, maybe a cool song like that thing John sent. That's kind of cool. It's impressive, but I would never buy if they put a full album out. I would never buy anything from that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't support it with my money. Put it that way. I wouldn't buy anything that was AI generated like that.
So do y'all think it was unethical, like for Kiss to go back and fix Kiss Alive 2 or Kiss
Very
Alive
much
1?
so.
See, I never considered it unethical. I mean, if live you screw things up. And
what about the Ozzy records when they went back and changed?
Now that's
the
different, though. That was something that had already been released through decades, and then he went back and changed it just because they didn't want to pay some musicians.
Yeah, I mean, leave
that,
stuff.
That was fun. That's the most asinine thing
I had those CDs and didn't know, and I had those and got rid of them and got earlier CDs. Like,
okay, how about this? How about this question? What if a guy in a band, guitar player in a band, they have their own song, and he says, you know what, I really want to have kind of a Ritchie Blackmore meets Jimi Hendrix meets Uli Roth type solo. AI, give me a solo. And then he takes it and plays it himself, but he's using the AI to give him ideas to help. A band could do that with a song too. Give us a song that sounds like a combination of Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. Okay, we like that intro. We like the ending. We're going to change this. We're going to do that. We're going to play it ourselves, but we're going to use the computer to quote inspire us or give us direction or whatever. You can sort of see, like with the Chat GPI thing, kids using it to write essays, or you can just use it to, hey, give me an opening statement on an essay or something like that. So you could see musicians starting to do the same thing, or a record label saying, I don't hear a hit song, guys. You need a hit. Go to the AI, go put your quarter in the AI machine and have it give you some inspiration or ideas.
They've been doing that. Auto-tune and stuff. I mean, it's like a boob job for vocalists. they've been doing it, but there's an art to using these tools. And I mean, they've always been doing effects. They've always been using new technology. They've always been doing that. I mean, Hendrix used the wah. That was like the first person to do that,
But it wasn't writing the
You got
songs. for
Trent
them. That's
Reznor
the
using it.
difference.
It
What's the difference between
wasn't.
that
I'll
and,
be right back. Gotta
what's
take
the difference
calls
between
now.
that and hiring a songwriter, though? I mean, a good portion of country songs are written by outside songwriters.
I think,
Yeah.
well, Hendrix did lots of covers.
Because
I mean,
there's still a
Hey Joe
human involved in
was,
it.
Hey Joe was a cover that, I don't know. Hendrix did tons of covers. They've
But
always
there's
done
still a
covers.
human involved, and there's still somebody that outside that ghostwriter, that one of the some extra songwriter that artists used all the time to help. Kiss had a lot of outside songwriters. They paid them, and they were acknowledged that. How are people going to feel when the songwriting credits read Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, and whatever the name of the computer is that they use to help write the song for them, or something like that? You know what I mean? It's sort of this weird, a thing where I don't know. You're taking the human element out of it. But let's face it, like, I don't know if you guys mentioned this already, but speaking of Kiss, do you remember there was this group? They were called something like Strutter 75 or something like that. And basically what they did is what the computer would do. They sat down, analyzed all the 70s Kiss songs, and they made something that sounded just like a 70s Kiss song. Well, they're really just doing the work. It's like doing math in your head instead of using a calculator. They did the work themselves. So again, there's sort of these gray lines of like, what is ethical? Who owns the rights to these things? Like if somebody is imitating Paul McCartney's voice, can Paul McCartney copyright the tone of his voice? I mean, they're not stealing something from a song. The computer is just imitating Paul McCartney's voice. So, we start getting into these really gray areas of like, well, who owns the rights to these things? What happens if, there's that band, I think they're from Brazil or somewhere, where the singer sounds exactly like Bruce Dickinson, he's in like a Maiden tribute band. I mean, you can't stop him from going and writing a song that sounds like Iron Maiden and him sounding very, very much like Bruce.
But if that's his given voice, I guess. But if you're talking
exactly.
About
but what about if a computer does it?
Well, then, yeah.
It raises these sort of gray areas. And I think it's already happening. Like there was somebody like one of the rappers like Kanye West or somebody made a song using like Kanye West or somebody like that's voice through an AI, and it got taken down from YouTube.
Oh, I think that was the Drake thing that was.
Drake.
We were talking about earlier.
And so again, it raises like this. I think right now there's probably a lot of record labels. There's a lot of bands that are sitting back going like, get our lawyers ready.
But was the music industry always exploitative? Like, was it always like bastardized? I mean, was it always unethical to be? The record industry was like dominated by the mob. I mean, it was always unethical. They signed these kids who have no leverage. They sign their souls away, and then they immediately indebt them. That they've sold their soul to the company store.
That's why they're going to use this to make money. That's why they're going to use it and go, hey, wait a minute. We can cut corners. We can use AI. We can use it to help. We can take AI and go, hey, analyze every top 10 song from the last 5 years and spit out all the tendencies. Oh yeah, it's got to be this long. It's got to sing about this.
We can use it to cut people's jobs and increase our profits, just like we would in every other industry. Just like every industry, it's going to be the same thing, But to be honest with you, I read the news online, and the quality of it is so poor anyway.
Of what?
Like of just like articles and just writing and just the newspapers and the news. It's very poor. And I'm like, did they farm this out to some like third world nation that can barely write English? I mean, it's just absolutely atrocious. And I'm like, I remember when we had the local newspapers and good writing and there was good content. And now it's like,
well, the thing is,
fine.
It's
Yeah, it's all
very, very much in
generated.
the infancy stages. When I did my video, I compared it to Napster. And remember when Napster came out and everybody was sharing like really cruddy, low quality MP3s, mislabeled,
Right. I
all
do
kinds of
remember.
glitches and stuff.
Yes.
Look at where we are now with lossless high fidelity streaming. You know what I mean? It's come quite a long way. And I think that this AI thing, that's why when I heard that Frostbite Orc Kings thing, I was just, it's not my style of music, but when I heard it and how together that was, I was like, whoa, this is scary. If this is what it's doing in its infancy stage right now, what's it going to sound like 5 years from now, 3 years from now? I mean, I just think it's just going to get better and better. And there's going to be a lot of people who are just casual music fans that say, I don't care. I don't care if a computer created it. I like the sound of Kurt Cobain's voice. I miss him. And I'm totally fine with this quote new, which by the way, there is a new Nirvana song on YouTube quote, because it's completely generated by AI. And again, if you played it for a Nirvana fan and said, hey, this is some rough demo that they made, people would probably believe it. And the other thing too to keep in mind is all these people doing these deep fake with the vocals and creating new quote new Nirvana songs. These are just kids and people on their computers. Imagine when a record label hires the best engineers and the best producers to sit down with an AI generated thing and really polishes the edges on these things and really cleans it up. It's going to be even harder to tell.
At least somebody will be getting paid.
True. I mean, it's right. But it's almost at the point where, if there's money to be saved, it's just like sampling. There was a point in time where if you wanted horns on your record, you had to hire horn players or string players. Well, they replaced that with sampled keyboard samples and stuff like that, which you basically can't tell these things apart now. And it saves people money. And it's going to get to a point where they're like, well, why should we? I saw a good example was one of the areas where it's going to take over first is for stuff like incidental, like movie music, like where all you need is background atmospheric music. You're going to tell the AI, oh, here's a love scene. There's two people kissing in a park. Give us some background music just to fill out this scene, and the AI is going to spit that out. So that's a good example of like cutting out, how they're going to start using this to cut out real people so that they don't have to pay for it. Now they don't have to pay somebody to write some bland wallpaper.
Do you guys know what fan fiction is? Mm-hmm. My wife loves fan fiction. Okay. My wife's a big sci-fi geek. And, this is when fans write, their own fiction based on a franchise. And like, okay, you love The Mandalorian, so you're right. Well, you love whatever it is. I don't know, So they just create their own content for free. So they were just giving it away anyway. And some of it is really good. Some of it is excellent. And a lot of young musicians are giving it away and have been giving it away all along. Because they just want to do it so bad that they'll just give it away. It's like I've heard a lot of writers say this, and there's a writer's strike right now. So this is kind of, I think applicable, but they say the amateurs ruin it for the professionals because the amateurs don't know that you should be charging for stuff, and that's like always been the case, and I think it's always happened. And somehow people, I will definitely say this just on an encouraging note. I go to a lot of shows here in Las Vegas, and I talked to a dude late yesterday who was from Houston, and he came here just to see the Sick World Festival. And the guy had like a battle jacket, and he's like real hardcore grizzled dude. It's got like the dude looked like fucking the Junkyard Dog from WWE, WWF. But anyway, like, he just came. He's like, I don't gamble. He's like, I don't drink. He's like, Vegas has got nothing for me. I just come here for the music. I just come for the shows. And, there are always going to be people who will travel for shows, who are into it. That's their lifestyle. They'll buy the merch. They want to be in the crowd. They want to be around other fans. They want to talk to other fans. They want the camaraderie and the you
It's the whole
know,
vibe. Yeah.
the vibe, you know, they want the vibe, man. I mean, that you know, that's never going to go away. And I mean, they're still making money, man. I mean, the bands are making plenty of money.
But look at how many people show up. And I agree that people crave interaction. They like to go to shows. They like to be dancing and singing together, waving their arms in the air together. But look at like DJs, you know, when I say DJs, I mean these guys that play at these EDM festivals that get up there with a laptop and there's like 20,000 people going crazy. And what are they doing?
Nothing. The one they have here in Vegas is like 175,000 people.
But that's what I mean.
That's just giant.
How much human element is in that music? You know what I mean? It's like
zero.
That's not no difference than going to a nightclub, though. You know, that's the way I see that stuff. With the DJ guys. I mean, it's just a giant nightclub.
When I retired from the Air Force, like last year, okay, Nellis Air Force Base is right by the Electric Dance Music Festival, whatever it's called, Electric Daisy Chain or whatever it's called. It's a massive 4-day festival, and it's hot as hell in Vegas. And I mean, they gotta stop you from going to work till like noon because the traffic lets out, and it takes that long, hours and hours. It jams up the traffic from people going back to LA and shit. And these kids were still bumping. I mean, they were like jumping in the car and dancing and stuff. I was like, man, 4 days in the hot sun. Like the drugs you all have now are just amazing.
Must be better than the drugs we had in the 80s, huh?
Well, and with these festivals, you know, my daughter she's in her 20s and her friends like to go to these, like the festival that you described. I live in Tampa. So she went to some 3-day festival and she's, oh yeah, you know, it's a mixture of stuff. You might recognize some of them, right? You know, they have some old and some new stuff. I sat down, there must've been 60 bands on this list. I think there was one that I recognized, you know, and it made me feel so completely out of touch with like, you know, and this was like a 3-day festival, like you said, 60,000 people. And I thought to myself, man, oh man, I am like that world is so foreign to me. I can't look at a festival with 60 artists on it and recognize any of them.
Yeah, but you could go to a different festival and know every single band.
Yeah, my daughter would have no idea who any
right. They got their thing and we have ours, and that's normal, I guess. I get, you know.
Yeah,
but you know, it's going to be another thing.
A song or artist list for Milwaukee Metal Fest. Give her that one. See if she knows.
Yeah, right.
See if she can decipher those band names.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron mentioned porn. Funny enough, we were talking about that earlier too.
About what?
Porn, AI porn.
Oh,
I don't really like that. And he said something clever. He said, you could disapprove of it and still enjoy it. But I actually think that I might like that better because I'm like, oh well, these aren't real people, so I don't have to feel.
Okay, speaking of porn, to show how what you're just describing, I was watching some, you know, Discovery Channel thing, and they had a chicken. And they were trying to make some point.
Yeah, where is this story going?
No. So they had a fake. They had like a fake, you know, rubber chicken or something, and the real chicken comes over, and he's starting to get excited by the. And I'm thinking that I'm sitting there going, stupid chicken. You know, he doesn't even realize it's fake. And he goes, well, now before you say stupid chicken, realize that this is no different than a man looking at porn because it's not real. And I thought, okay, maybe the chicken's not as, you know, dumb as I make it out to be.
Kind of horrifying. But I mean, you know, it's like if you were listening to music that you knew was fake, they were like, okay, we made this fake I don't know, you know, Iron Maiden song, you know, and you were like, you know what, I like this. Like, would you feel guilty? Would you be like, I feel so guilty for enjoying this, knowing that it's fake?
I wouldn't listen to it.
You did say no. You'd have to cut it off. You'd be like, this is over the line.
I'm not interested whatsoever. And like I say, I'm the grumpy old dude. I stopped buying stuff.
Well, there has to be a cutoff. There's got to be a boundary.
Yeah, and that's definitely the digital thing I'm upset with, and that is like the AI thing is total. Like, I don't trust anything now musically.
But the problem is there's going to be a whole generation that's just not going to care.
No, they're going to embrace it.
Hey, this is a good song.
Yeah,
I could care less if a computer made it, if a person made it. They're just not going to care. And it's
they're already there. I mean,
even as us as fans, I mean, imagine if the way they do these deep fake vocals, I'm a huge Sabbath fan. If somebody did a deep fake thing where they took Ozzy's voice and had him sing Heaven and Hell, I wouldn't pay for it, but I sure as heck would watch it on YouTube just out of curiosity to hear like what would Ozzy sound like singing the song Heaven and Hell. Well, I'd be curious to hear that. Wouldn't pay for it, but I would watch it on YouTube.
I would watch it. I would have
I'd
to
listen
satisfy
it, but
my
it's
curiosity.
a novelty then, though. That's what
Yeah.
I just picture in my head now a bunch of guys high up at the labels just doing this.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's coming.
They were already
We don't need
Already
any
doing
of these
that.
prima donna bullshit.
Have
We
a
got a
cigar,
computer.
man. They were already.
We don't need engineers. We
don't need anything.
Session musicians. We don't need band. We don't
I
PR.
just
Look
Write it
at
down
some
there right
fucking
now.
like 21-year-old. You know, they'll be like, "Hey, kid, come in here. How's this sound? This sounds great. Cool. Put it
Yeah,
out."
they'll get a focus group.
I just
Put it
think
out.
corporate
And
execs-
bands will start it. Some bands will embrace this. I think I heard you guys reference Kiss. Imagine if Kiss goes back and they go through their whole catalog, isolate all the vocals and let an AI machine study and analyze all the vocals and all the guitar tones, blah, 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 blah. So you can get the Kiss AI package and, hey, you can have your very own Kiss song, and you can sit there and go, I want Paul Stanley to sing it. I want Ace to be on guitar.
Dude, you should stop talking right now, because if Gene hears that, he's gonna
He's
steal
like,
that idea from you.
Don't put any
You better
ideas.
patent that shit right now, dude.
I never even thought about that. I mean, the way Pro Tools works and all that,
Yeah.
you can have 1,000 different amps.
Right.
At your
Dude,
fingertips.
now
you're gonna have
that just
1,000
blew my
different
mind,
bands.
dude.
Gene's already
And
got
you'll be able
working
to
on
say,
plans.
I want this to write a Kiss ballad. I want it to be for my girlfriend, Susie. I want Peter Chris to sing it. And you're going to be able to put this together.
Hey,
And
man,
Kiss,
I could think of some
if anybody will
worse
find a
gifts.
way to make money off of it, it'll be Kiss. It'll be
I mean,
Gene
if you're gonna
Simmons.
get me a birthday
Damn,
present,
dude.
I'll take it, man. Like, I would absolutely take a custom song from my favorite band. That'd be like solid birthday present.
That's fucking nuts.
Dude, you make fun. I guarantee that shit's gonna happen.
Oh,
I never
he's
even
already-
thought of that. He just fucking blew my mind, because I see Kiss absolutely doing that.
Oh, Kiss.
Yeah.
The Kiss is a perfect example because they would
Yeah.
anything that they could commercialize, they're gonna do it.
Oh, that's why I said you better cut that idea off, because if Gene hears that shit, he's gonna take that shit
He's,
from
he's
me.
already writing it down.
You can choose Ace on guitar, have Eric Carr on drums, and
Yeah, man.
Have
I mean,
it how
guys,
you want
All
it.
right, now you guys might be starting to sway me a little bit on the.
And it very much might be like Napster, where when Napster first came out, the industry ignored it, said it's going to go away. Then they tried to sue people. They tried to stop them. Well, if they learn any kind of lesson, they may say like, whoa, this is the future. We got to get in on the ground level on this. We got to start so we can make money off of it. In other words, and they'll find a way. Otherwise, because the way people are doing these deep fake vocals right now is they're taking these isolated tracks that are floating around on YouTube, which all originated from like Guitar Hero and stuff like that. So they're taking, Kurt Cobain, his isolated voice, and they're taking the AI. They're telling the AI, study these isolated vocals and then spit out a new song for me. So now imagine if, again, Kiss goes in and says, okay, you can have all of Paul Stanley's isolated vocals from the history of Kiss. Use the computer to analyze that. So what you're hearing right now, these deep fakes are from a very limited pool of things for the computer to analyze. Imagine if the computer could analyze every Paul Stanley isolated vocal ever. Every Gene Simmons one, if it could study Ace's guitar tendencies, it's going to create something that's going to be an AI package. And this is how the bands might be able to get an upper hand on this. They'll say, oh yeah, you hear these Paul Stanley deep fakes on YouTube, but they suck because they only use 3 or 4 Kiss songs that they can get their hands on. We've given you access. This computer has studied every Paul Stanley thing he's ever sung. And so your AI, pay us Kiss, buy now, is going to sound, just like the band.
My AI album's better than your AI album. That's so
Right.
You'd be like, I like this AI album better.
My
than that.
Peter Chris ballad for my girlfriend is way better than yours.
Christ, that'll be the next.
But
like,
I
do
mean,
you want to dance?
But
fucking
these
TV show.
tribute bands, though, man. Like, okay, Leonard Skinner. I just as I said, I just saw ZZ Top at like a fairground. Leonard Skinner was coming the next week, and I'm like, well, the last original dude just died. So this is straight up. It was already a tribute band though, because those guys died in the plane crash a long ass time, like before I was even born. So like, you know, you're talking like they were already a tribute band. But my question is, okay, when the last living AC/DC member dies, can you still continue AC/DC?
No,
Because, but I mean,
all the Molly
there
Hatchet
might be
guys are dead.
people-
They're still around.
I mean, there might be people who will still go. Like, be like, hey, I just want to go. People love tribute bands. Tribute bands do really well.
I don't
well,
know
yeah,
about
I
you
mean, a
guys,
tribute band, but I don't see it. I don't see a band like AC/DC changing members.
around
to
here,
have
that's
none.
huge. There's tribute bands. It's like all these
Yeah.
places that get
They
national.
do much better than if you're a young artist and you're trying to go play your guitar on stage and do original shit. You're not going to do as well as somebody who went into like a Sublime tribute band or a Led Zeppelin tribute, or whatever. You're going to do much better to be in a tribute band.
Mhm.
And that's
Some of
just-
these bands will sell their names.
Molly
Because
Hatchet did it.
Florida is so you know, a lot of older people. You see these groups come through like the Temptations. There's no Temptations members in the Temptations.
Hasn't been for a long
Somebody sold the name. So I mean, Kiss has already talked about this, and that's an obvious one, easy one with the
time.
makeup.
Really, he won.
The name is still out there. It's no original members. People and bands will start doing that. They'll say, hey, this is the sanctioned. I can't picture AC/DC doing it, but I could picture, I don't know, you know, Kiss, or I could picture bands doing this where they sell the name. And it's like, okay, this has no original members, but it's sanctioned and approved by
I was just
the
reading today
estate
about
of the band.
you know how Pete Townsend sold all of the Who's song rights for like $100 million, and and Neil Young won't do it. Neil Young refuses to do it, and has held on to all his copyrights and shit. And Pete Townsend was criticizing Neil Young, and he was like, you know, when we sold our copyrights, they started using the songs in commercials and stuff, and then that created a lot of it reached a wider audience and created a lot of interest in our music again. So, you know, basically they was talking about the difference between if a song gets used in like a beer commercial or a Chevy commercial or something versus being in a movie. If the song's in a movie and it's a good movie and people like the movie, you know, The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman had Paul Simon, like Simon and Garfunkel, like whatever, you know, that was like the 1967, and everyone loved that. You know, that reached millions of people. I mean, you know, millions and millions of people. So it's always been happening. It's always been happening. And I mean, if they sell the rights to, you know, their band when they're all too old to play, because man, I've been seeing a lot of bands. The guys are like 80 years old. I just saw the Stones last year. They're fucking 80 years old, man. You're not going to be able to do that when you're 90, especially with all the drugs they did in the 60s and shit.
What's weird with our generation, though, that was always looked down on. Like, I can remember the first time I heard they used the Ramones in a commercial. Was it Budweiser or something?
No,
and I just
Sellout.
remember thinking, who the
They're
fuck
Sellout.
signed off on that?
Right.
They should have their,
Right.
you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
now it's like, you know, we're that generation of, hey, I found this cool band early on, and now they're huge, and it pisses me off.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I
Fucking
don't know.
sellouts.
Yeah,
They sold
I don't.
out.
I don't think the younger generations have that.
I
in
mentioned
them
the Black Album. Everybody's gonna say they sold out.
at all. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that was like, man, you know, you didn't want your music in a commercial. That was like,
But rock and roll is at a point now. I made a video that on my channel that was something. The title was something like "Rock and Metal is not dangerous anymore." And my point of it is that there was a point in time where AC/DC scared parents, Antichrist, Devil's Child. People were afraid of it. The Night Prowler, whole thing, and everything. Now you can go into Walmart and you can buy an AC/DC beach blanket. You know, it's like, and what made me think of this video is I saw somebody posted a video of like some girl on TikTok, and she has a Sublime shirt on, and she goes, "Hey everybody, I just want to let you know that the Sublime clothing brand also makes music." This girl didn't realize that Sublime was a band. She thought it was a clothing brand. And I thought, how many people are walking around with a Misfits shirt on, or with, you know,
Okay,
insert
It's the gateway, man.
thing
At
that
least
you
they
see
got
at
the- At least they
Kohl's.
think the shirt's cool.
Right. They don't even realize that they're
Maybe they'll
bands
get
anymore.
lucky and listen to it.
See, that's
Yeah.
our generation talking right here. You know what I mean? Because we look
Yeah.
down on that shit. I remember watching an episode of Friends where one of the girls had an MC5 shirt on. And I'm like,
I remember
there's no fucking way.
There's no way she
Yes,
was
Rachel.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston. Yep.
listen to
Yeah.
that. She
But
It
my
was
niece
cool
was
'cause
wearing-
you could tell she was cold.
Yeah, it was a little.
My niece was
chilly
wearing
in
a Motorhead shirt. I mean, excuse me, a Ramones shirt one time when she was visiting here, and I was like, "Oh, cool shirt." I said, "You like the Ramones?" She goes, "I don't know, just a cool shirt."
the-
They do it all the time,
That's
which
when
is
that's when you got to educate them, man.
I was at work. There was a young out on the production floor walking one day, and there's this young black guy working on the production line, and he had a Sabotage shirt on, like an old Sabotage shirt. And I'm like, wow, dude, that's cool. That's a cool shirt. He goes, yeah, I found it at Goodwill. And I'm like, cool, man. Have a good day. Because I knew he had no idea who Sabotage was. You know what I
Well,
mean?
see, then you should have said, "Yeah, well, check this. Have you listened to that band or whatever?
Nah,
Get them into it."
He,
fuck that kid. It ain't worth it.
where I
He
moved
liked it
here.
for the art, and that's cool. But
I
I'm
moved
like,
here from
I'm thinking,
Virginia,
I don't
man.
have
And
time.
that's because you can buy this stuff at Kohl's and Walmart. Now, if you wanted to buy an AC/DC shirt in 1982, you had to go to your record store. You had to go to some place that was dedicated to that only kids hung out at.
You had to go to a show.
Now
For
you
a
can
show,
get you know, Guns N' Roses koozies
Oh, yeah.
and things
Well,
like
how about-
that at Kohl's and Walmart
about
and
everybody
the
thought
Dollar
the-
Tree.
The Dark Side of the Moon thing was a pride thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that was going around.
They said
Yeah.
they were appropriating it and all that. And so
Yeah.
everybody's like, are you kidding?
No, that's not.
But that all
Things
happened
have
with
gotten weird now, man. They
Yeah.
think Dark Side of the Moon is a pride. Man, everything's so fucking weird now.
but all that shit happened with Hot Topic. Because I remember when the girls were young, we'd go in and it would be like Ramon shirts and Appetite for Destruction and all that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
most of these people in here don't even know who these bands are. But then you would see the young kids wearing them, and it's like, okay, I wonder if they do know who the bands are.
I think it's a gateway, and I hope they do. You know, and as
Yeah.
I moved here from Hampton, Virginia, it's like 95% black population. I used to see all kinds of black kids all the time, not just with music, but they'd have like a Thrasher shirt and like skater shit and like a, Hot Topic type shit, cultural shit. And I was like, well, this is good. I mean, to me, that it almost made me feel like they were like, yeah, I'm black, but like I'm cool because I'm into like all kinds of shit or whatever. They're trying to make a statement that way, and I was like, well, maybe they'll listen to the Ramones when they like wear the Ramones shirt. Maybe they'll.
I think 90%
It'll
of
never
it.
die. Like people will always be into this stuff.
I think 90% of it is fashion, though. I mean, I think that's the only reason.
It always was, though. It always was.
Well, no, I think there was a
No,
bit of
not always.
yeah. Like man, when I was wearing Metallica Metal Up Your Ass in '85 to
It
school,
was just us.
yeah.
wearing it.
There wasn't a bunch of other people following my fashion at the
Right.
time.
No, and actually, same with me. When I was wearing in school, it was you had the metalhead kids, and it was like this group of
Mhm.
10, 15 kids out of 300, and we were
Right.
the freaks.
Yep.
And for us in 1985 to be okay, so it's like a kid wearing an AC/DC Highway to Hell shirt today. That's like us in 1985 wearing
A Beatles.
a what? Go back there. What was going on in 1925? You know,
Oh yeah.
like tie a yellow ribbon around the old tree.
Glenn Miller
When you're a
rocks.
kid like that, though, that's like your identity.
Beethoven.
I mean, there were like 5 punk kids in my whole school. I mean, if that, I mean, that was like your identity. You were like looked down upon. I mean,
But do you think
But,
it's their
you know.
identity today? I think it's.
I
a
mean, they
fashion,
have
not
their own. They
identity.
have their own. They're trying to get their own, thing. And I mean, they're doing their own thing, and it's Al Jolson t-shirt. Yeah,
Burt Bacharach t-shirt.
they're like, yeah, they were hella into Burt Bacharach. They were into Cab Calloway, man, back in the. But I mean, it's always been that. It's always been that, And most people are not going to understand it, and then over. Okay, I was like 14 in 1992, so we were like, we were like wearing like Soundgarden t-shirts and Nirvana and stuff before they were famous, and everybody thought we were weirdos, and then immediately, like alternative rock became the thing, and then or whatever, and grunge rock became the thing, and then it was like we were like mainstream. So we went from like complete and total weirdos to like mainstream in our middle school or junior high school or whatever. like immediately.
So did you push back on that? I don't like
No,
that shit
because
anymore.
I was like, hey, everybody else, you know, likes it too, you know, or whatever, you know. I loved MTV, and I mean, man, in Indiana, like, you can't be that cool because you're in Indiana. It's just not cool. Like, Indiana's not cool, period. So it doesn't matter. Like, it's all a bunch of bullshit. Like, you know, you like what you like, but there are always going to be people who are like trying to get on the bandwagon and the fashion and stuff, you know, fakeness. It's like, what is fakeness, really? I mean, everything is fake. It's always been fake anyway. It's like, how authentic are you? Well, yeah, I watched MTV. Well, MTV was that nationwide, you know? I mean, there's always been fake shit. Like the thing that it's like, and I see this in vinyl a lot. It's like, well, this is an authentic one. This is a repress. Well, the album's from 1981. This is an 84 repress. It's like, well, 84, I mean, that's still pretty close. Like, I mean, you're getting into, like, you know, slicing the hairs, man. Like, I mean, how authentic is it? And they did that with CDs bad. They were like, this is partially digitally sourced, this is AB, this. They were really into that in the 80s when CDs came out.
I've kind of talked about that before, though, and like talking about loving a band early on, and then they get big, and then you like, fuck that, you know what I mean? I don't know where that comes from. I definitely had it when I was younger. I try not to have it now, but there was something about it. Like my example is I saw Nirvana a couple months before Nevermind come out. You know what I mean? And I was totally into them on Bleach, and then Nevermind comes out, and I'm like, just stop already. And I hate all you people that like Nevermind. Fuck all you.
They got enormous, and you didn't like it.
It's like, you know,
Pantera.
Everybody talks
really
about
the young.
Everybody talks about not 90s Pantera. It's like, how about 80s Pantera?
I love the metal fans, the young metal fans today. I don't think they're not like we were that way. They're not snobs about shit that way. I don't think. I feel like they're very open-minded.
I don't even know if it was being a snob. It was just like being like, man, I was there in the trenches, you know, finding these bands.
It's snobbishness. It's a total snobbishness.
I don't know what it is.
I know I'm just as guilty as anybody, man. Like, you know, you're like, hey, you're right. I was in the trenches. I was into this before it was cool. I paid dues, and like these people paid no dues. Now they're just like, they just jumped on the bandwagon, the posers, you know.
Now you're on TV wearing an MC5 shirt. Fuck you. You know.
But I mean, I think you could make the argument that, like, you know, and that's what I say, when you're from Indiana, like, every band came from Chicago or LA or New York, someplace way cooler. And anything we got for anything culturally, period, was always like secondhand, third hand, you know. And fucking Guns N' Roses were from Lafayette, Indiana, like right next to me, man. You know, like, I mean, but it didn't matter. Like, you know, it's like by the time you've heard of them, they're already huge, you know. So, my point being that, like, you know, you're like, I was an early fan, but it's like the real early fans were already fans way before you, you know, like, you know, like the 90s bands were really 80s bands. A lot of the 80s bands were really 70s bands. I mean, there were people seeing Metallica and like back with like in San Francisco and stuff, you know, when there was like 40 people there, you know.
Well, Scott, you were early on to Metallica. I mean, did you feel that as they were getting bigger and bigger? It's like,
yeah, of course. A lot of those bands, I felt the same way as you did.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that way today about Metallica. They're like, I even say it, you know, Metallica could put out a freaking album of fart noises and people would buy it and defend it as the best thing ever. And because there's just so many fans on that bandwagon. But yeah, I mean, I'm exactly the same way.
Drum with Lars.
And I've thought about that. I don't know what causes me to be that way, but I'm that way. I don't know if it's our generation or what it is, but especially back then. I mean, I'm not so much anymore, but it's like,
because you get treated like an outcast when you're a kid, like for liking these bands. Then they become it's like you're like, man, fuck you, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely. I mean, I understand it totally, but I mean, today the young kids today are way more open minded about shit. I don't think they don't hang their whole identity on like one band and shit like the way that we did, you know.
I remember rolling into college and I had one of the early Faith No More albums, and then what was the big one with Epic on it? Yeah, The Real Thing come out like right around that time. And I went in and was listening to it, and other guys I was playing in the band with were like, what are you listening to? Rap, man? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Turn this off. You know what I mean? And then like within 6 months, everybody and their brother on Faith No More. They were all into it. I'm like, what are you guys listening to? Rap? You know what I mean? It's like
My brother and I used to get into fights about shit. He'd be like, "This is bullshit. This sucks." And then like a week later, he'd be like, "This is great. I love this. This is me. I am this." You know? We would literally get into like fist fights about bands and stuff. We were so serious about shit. I mean, it's a laugh now. I mean, now I feel like I could listen to anything and it doesn't own me. I'm not like I can go listen to Burt Bacharach right now, and I am not Burt Bacharach. What material doesn't matter. Like doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want now. You know?
I can listen to like what is it, Shooting Star or whatever from Madonna from the '80s now and be like, this is kind of cool.
Whatever I want.
Back then,
no way. You wouldn't be caught dead. You wouldn't be caught dead, man. No way.
It's odd, man.
But you listen to that too because it was around at the time. You know, the Top 40 radio would play all that. So now it's more nostalgia.
Yeah,
I can sit there and listen to a Cyndi Lauper song, and I probably know most of the words.
It's the same way I can watch a little bit of Hee Haw because my grandparents watched it all the time. Like, God damn, I hate Hee Haw every goddamn day.
I hated Hee Haw as a kid. Now I think
now I love it. Yeah,
I love it now.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. You know, my wife's my buddy's wife is a Swiftie. She's a Taylor Swift. She's like a nurse, and you know, she's a nice lady, but she dressed up to go to the Taylor Swift concert, and she was like they dress up like all like Taylor Swift like and kind of, and I was like, man, this is so amusing to me. It's so amusing that they get dressed up like that, and there's like hordes of them, you know.
Yeah.
Mine just went on Saturday. My wife, my daughter, and my daughter's two friends, and they were all dressed to the nines, like they were going to the fucking Oscars or something.
What do you dress like for? What does she? What do you mean dress like a Swiftie? What
They
does
all
that
just
mean?
wore. I mean, the four here just wore nice dresses. That's all.
Yeah, it's dresses and pantyhose and high heels and yeah.
Oh,
They get dressed up all pretty, man. I mean, that's
what's the difference between that and what we did when we were in the 80s? I mean, you go to a concert, you get all decked out to the hilt. You had to make sure you were wearing the white concert shirt, and you had to have on your denim vest, and you had to make sure you had on your ripped up pair of jeans and your high.
Good point. Good point.
Go to a big festival.
Reeboks on.
Go to a big festival with a bunch of the old hair bands and enjoy watching the 55, 60-year-old ladies still dressing. Pulling it out.
Oh, yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah.
When I was a kid,
Joe Perry, when I saw Joe Perry Project 2-3 weeks ago, there were ladies like that.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
sweetheart, this spandex is not.
I've been on the monsters. I've been on the Monsters of Rock cruise. If you want to see that, that is.
Oh, I could imagine.
That takes it to another level.
Stockings and the you know what do you call the hairspray shit? You know
people get all dressed up on that, and it's
even
do you think fucking
started the guys with them
warming?
too.
Tube tops.
Yeah, these guys with their belts and their bullet belts and their bellies hanging over it, like
right.
Man, dude.
You didn't hear
aren't those digging inside your gut right now? You're wearing a bullet belt.
Yeah, but I'm cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they got their tight
But I
leathers
look
and their
cool,
boots
man.
on, and you can
I salute them for
dyed
the
hair.
effort, man, and I salute them for having the
Dude,
balls.
it's time
yeah.
to let that shit go, bro.
That's what I say though. I look at him and I go, more power
Like,
to you,
I
brother,
dress
'cause I
like-
wouldn't walk out like that. You know?
I dress like a scrub no matter where I go.
They reliving the old times, man. They saw those bands in the clubs when nobody knew about them. Now they're on a cruise ship watching them.
Yeah, on the
That's
50th
crazy.
anniversary tour. You know,
I see somebody dressed up now, like even casual dress, and I'm like, where the fuck you go? You got a show tonight or something? What the fuck is happening?
Hey, what are those cruises like, John? Are they pretty cool or?
We've gone on we went on the Monsters of Rock cruise once, and but we've gone on. There's another one called 70,000 Tons of Metal, which maybe you guys have heard of it. They've done it, I think, 10 or 11 times now, and the 70,000 tons has more death metal, power metal, stuff like that. It's more extreme stuff, whereas Monsters of Rock cruise is all the sort of 80s bands. And when we went the year with the 80s, the cruises are cool because as you get older, I can't, go in a tent or something for 3 days, be, battling the elements, the sun, the rain, the mud that you get at a normal festival. So these things are great because you've got your own cabin, you got your own bathroom, you want to go back and lay down. The food is such that if you want to eat junk food and pizza the entire time you can. If you want to have nice meals, you can have nice meals. You can do whatever you want. There's entertainment going. There's usually 3 or 4 stages where there's something constantly going on. So if you don't like one band, you can, hop off to somewhere else. It's usually pretty relaxed. The people are there, like the 70,000 Tons of Metal one is a lot of fun. The artists are usually just walking around. So the last one we went, I got to talk to Uli Roth in the salad bar line, things like that. You have stuff like that happening all the time.
Didn't Jimmy Bain die on one of those?
Yeah, it was on what, it wasn't the Monsters of Rock cruise that we were on, but it was, no, that was a Def Leppard cruise. Def Leppard had their own cruise thing, and I guess they had performed, and he was sick before they even left for the cruise. But yeah, they're fun. I mean, I love it, because we're here in Florida, we don't have to fly in for them. We can drive to Miami from where we are, so that makes it easy on us.
I bet the bands love it because they don't have to get in the bus. They don't have to be in the bus. They probably have more room in the berthing of a ship than they do on the bus.
Yeah, most of the bands embrace it. Like, especially Monsters of Rock was a little different. A lot of those bands, they stayed away from the people. They had their own floor, like on the boat. So you didn't 70,000 Tons of Metal. The artists are just everywhere. They can be in the cabin right next to you. When you sit down to eat, they're there. You're standing in line. They're there. They're all over the place. So you That's can, cool. It's for when we did the Monsters of Rock cruise. I remember Mark Evans, the original bass player for AC/DC. He was playing with Rose Tattoo. And I saw him the first night we were there, and he had just released a book. I forget what it was called, but and I talked to him about his book and everything. And then it turned into this funny, weird thing where everywhere we would go, he'd be standing in front of me in line at the buffet. And at one point he looked at me and he goes, "What, are you following me?" Like he was joking. And I was like, "No, it's just like, this is the way it is on the boat, And then I was somewhere later on, and I was waiting at the bar, and I look over, and he's standing next to me, and I looked at him and go, "Hey, what are you following me?" And he had a laugh, but it was cool because I was able to sit there and talk to Mark Evans about AC/DC, and people are just walking around, and it's a cool environment, and it's relaxing. You're not outside in the elements getting pounded on by the sun and all that other stuff.
Whoever started that, whoever had that idea, was brilliant. I first heard about it, I'm like, "What the crap?" And then you hear more about it. It's like, that must be pretty cool, man.
The 70,000 Tons of Metal, they were like the first person to do that. And I remember that first cruise. A lot of people were like, "Is this for real? Like, is this a real thing? Are we getting scammed here?" People didn't know what it was about, and the artists were the same way. They were kind of like, nobody knew what to expect, and but. It seems like it's a hit, and usually the bands seem to like it. The fans like, and the fans are cool and respectful. When you're on the boat, you're not going to be, because you're seeing them all the time. It's not like you're.
It probably humanizes like these people. Like, they're not gods. They're just like regular people who want to eat breakfast just like you.
Yeah.
That they're into they're into it too. They like the music too. Obviously, they've done it their whole life.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna split. I gotta go.
All right, Scott.
Thanks for joining, Scott.
Appreciate you having me on, though.
Take care, Scott.
Thanks, guys.
Later, man.
See ya.
Yeah, I never considered doing the cruise thing. I just never had an appeal for it, but I don't know. Maybe one of those would be kind of cool to do.
Well, that sounds cool. Where, like John said, you don't have to fly anywhere to get on the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kind of
cool. Yeah, to Tampa.
Yeah, and the way 70,000 Tons is, they have 60 bands now. So most of when I talk to people who haven't gone, they're like, "Oh, I don't really like, a lot of the," and I look at it now, it's like, man, because each band does 2 sets. So if there's 10 bands out of the 60 that I'm interested in, I get to hear 2 sets from those. So that's 20 shows across, what is it? You leave on a Monday and you come back on a Friday. And also, it's just the experience, having 3,000 metalheads just hanging out. You meet so many people. There's people from all over the world. I've met people that I've stayed in touch with. You see them every year. You show up there, and it's a cool hang. And for me, the music is a big part of it, but it isn't whenever I talk to people who haven't been on it and they're like, oh, there's a lot of bands I don't like, I say, well, it's not really like a typical concert environment. There's a lot of just hanging out and meeting people, and you get off the boat on some island, you get to hang out in some tropical island for a half a day. And so it's really the experience and the intimacy of the whole thing. I mentioned Uli Roth, the very first cruise, Uli Roth was on that. I saw his first set. It was in a lounge. It happened to be a night where the boat was like rocking like crazy. So there was basically nobody there. There was like 10 people there. I sat in a chair. Uli Roth, there was no stage because he was in this lounge area on the boat. He was about 10 feet away from me. I sat in a chair and listened to Uli Roth play for an hour and tell stories 10 feet away from me.
That alone would be worth it.
Yeah.
Man, 60 bands. There'd be no way you could catch all of them, I wouldn't think.
Well, they structure it in such a way that you can catch one set from each band if you want to. I mean, if you're a maniac and you want to stay up till 4 a.m. and get up again at 7. And,
but sometimes it's stuff like that. You see something you didn't even think you would be into, and then
that's the other thing. You discover a lot of bands. There's always a handful of bands that I thought, I have no idea who these guys are, but they're playing on the pool deck, and I'm going to grab a margarita and sit in a beach chair and listen to them, and you're like, whoa, these guys are like really cool or something.
It happens to me in Vegas all the time. I'm like, I would not have thought I'd like this, and this is actually great. And there's just like there's stuff everywhere for free all the time, and you just walk right by it and you're like, for free, this is cool.
That's like the old days when you go see a band and it'd be an awesome opening band you never heard of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just don't
I still get turned on by opening. Lately, I've been a lot of, especially local Chicago bands, that they'll have them open up for a bigger name. And I'm like, oh, I never heard of these guys, and they're from Chicago. And then track them down, or they got, obviously they're selling their merch there, their records and stuff.
I remember going to I think it was the second, what was the thing? Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
I think Alice in Chains and Promise was doing that. They were like
that was the year after 93. 92 was Soundgarden and
they had
some Pearl Jam.
They had this band opening or playing early on. I had no idea, never heard of them, and it was Rage Against the Machine. And it was like, holy fuck! And I don't think many people in the crowd had heard of them, because as we were watching, it was like they kick in. It was like okay, and the crowd just slowly you could watch it build until they just went completely nuts, and everybody was into it for the rest of the show. And that was one of those bands. This has happened several times where you go to a show, never heard of the band. Next day, you're at the mall buying the CD. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Good old days. Well, this turned from AI into old fucks talking about old shit.
It was always
that's what it always
yelling at clouds. Old men yelling at clouds.
Old man yelling,
we lost
AI. You ruined it all, you damn dirty ape.
It was
You blew it all to hell.
We lost Scott.
Yeah.
All right.
You maniacs.
You want to get out of here? Or you guys want to show anything or anything new you got?
I don't have anything to show. The only thing I picked up was today, Local Boys, the new Heaven's Edge record.
I didn't know they were from up that area.
Oh, yeah. Same.
I have the new Metallica on the turntable, so that's been going up. But all this past week, I was listening to Van Halen to rank them, the 5 songs I had to rank for the Vinyl Archivist stream. So I decided to pull out some of the bootlegs that I had, and I've been listening to this 82 one.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I got that. That's up next. But I've been
Capital Center
tipping into some of those. Yeah, I think it is.
There's 2 volumes.
Yeah, Maryland Broadcast. Yeah, I got both of them laying here, but from 82. So I've been in a Van Halen kick.
I think there's a video.
I went through the whole catalog.
Right.
Had to get down to 5 songs. Voted Unchained my top song, and there was a little discussion saying if it was a better song, Pound Cake or Unchained. And
Unchained.
Unchained, right?
What the fuck? That's not even.
That's what I'm saying. There was a whole argument on where it was supposed to be ranked.
Should not even be a question, man.
Somebody pick Pound Cake.
I'm just saying.
Pound Cake. Give me a break.
You guys are nuts over there at the Vinyl Archivist stream, but that's what it was. I got outvoted. I was outvoted. I think John was on there too, Bip Bop, and
I think I will say Pound Cake's the best fucking Sammy Hagar era. Van
Yeah,
Halen
it made the
back.
top 5, but where it was ranked, I was like, Unchained is better.
They outvoted you?
I got outvoted. So it was like, no, I think Unchained came in at number 5. Pound Cake was at 3. Ain't Talking About Love was number 1. Running Devil 2, I think. Can't remember what 4 was.
Where's Atomic Punk?
Yeah.
But it didn't make the top 5 on there. No.
Come on.
We kind of did it like that metal show. You know how we all had our own lists, and then then we had whatever was like popular on that list, and we had to rank the last, the final 5.
Right
So, yeah, I think Pound Cake was the only Sammy song that made it on there.
That's funny.
I was like, no, man, Unchained is better.
I've never seen.
Oh, wait,
I've never seen him ever. I kind of want to.
Spank Line's a better song off that album.
I don't even remember that.
It was the fucking worst song on that record. I think.
I saw
1-800. Don't call on
Zach-
Spank Line or something. Remember?
Zach, did you say you never saw Sammy?
No, and he's been doing lately. He's been doing shows with like mashups with other artists and stuff. And I follow him on Instagram and everything. And I'm like, man, I need to. That is one of the old timers that I really need to catch while he's still active. And
Yeah, he still brings it.
I've been really trying to see the old timers. They just had $25 concert week here, and I'm like, I need to. I got it. So I got this just to show a record. I've been listening to this Robert Plant. I haven't taken
Nice.
Plant. I know you're a huge Robert Plant guy, so I know
Absolutely.
you're a lot of Zeppelin guys here, but I've never seen him, and I got a ticket to see him next month. So
right on.
Is that with Alison Krauss?
With Alison Krauss, and
Yeah.
I did buy this record just to show a couple records, but I bought this Danzig Elvis record, which I kind of hate. But I just saw him because he's going to be touring with the Misfits, so he's like his Elvis shows are wrapping up, and it was at the Tropicana, which they're tearing down because the Oakland A's are coming here. So I was like, and it was so, dude, he was 2 hours late, and it was so Elvis-y. They were like, Danzig arrived at the airport. Danzig was in the building.
Oh my god.
It was so fucking weird. I loved it, man. So I am trying to see these legends before I can't do it anymore. Also,
I think you like the Alison Krauss show with him with Plant.
I've been listening to this too. This is an original though. Again, authenticity, man. But in '91, I had the cassette anyway. I didn't even have the LP, so whatever.
Right on.
But some things are
that
like
was
the
CD era then. Yeah.
CD era, and I couldn't even afford the CD. I was too young and poor. I mean, I didn't even have a job. I had to ride my bike. We were playing mud football in the backyard, and after the game, I rode my bike into town muddy and bought the cassette for like $4 or whatever. But I mean, again, it's just like,
And you listened to the shit out of it. It meant something to you, I bet.
well, we used to listen to tapes till the writing on the tape was worn off.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Or that little piece of
The felt.
the felt,
Yeah,
thing
felt
that would
wear
always
out.
fall out.
Fucking wore 'em out,
What you got, John? I saw you pick up a stack here.
Yeah, there was a local, there's like an antique mall near me, and a guy has a record booth set up in there, and I had a bunch of records, doubles, and like a lot of classic rock stuff that's really in junky shape. And I thought, I'm gonna just see if this guy will give it to him, if he'll just let me trade it in for some of the stuff that he had. So this is I'll go through them quick because there's a bunch of stuff. But Bonfire,
That's
Firepower, it's a pretty cool 80s kind of melodic metal. Girl School, that's
a great
probably
album.
That Girl School.
that. Golden Earring, I've really been getting into them lately.
I love
Steve
Golden
Harris always cites them as an influence. Max Webster, Canadian, hard rock live album. Grand Funk, Greatest Hits, Twisted Sister.
That's a classic.
Yeah, I actually
Love
kind of
that
like
record.
this record. Marcel. This is, I don't know if anybody's heard this, but this is like 70s.
Yeah,
I have
Like kind of southern. It's got a southern vibe to it. I've also been on a Kinks kick lately.
Right
So
on.
found that. Black Oak, Arkansas. I don't know if any of you recognize this. This was like a 80s kind of progressive keyboardy.
Too bad Scott left. I think he was kind of getting into that band.
Yeah.
I love that band. I have every record you've shown.
Oh, really?
Every single one of them.
Kim Mitchell, another Kinks one.
Another classic.
And I just never had this record, so
Oh,
I dropped
fuck.
it to who, Tommy.
That's a great stack, dude.
Mhm.
I have like
Yeah, and I didn't pay
Yeah,
anything
those-
for it. And I was
Those
able
first
to,
couple Point Blank albums are pretty cool, actually. They're a little southern rock kind of feel to them.
Did you guys ever
Yeah, I
see
was
the
surprised by
blog
that.
After Sabbath? There was a blog called After Sabbath, and it was like all kinds of bands that were kind of Sabbath-esque. And then they did one that was called After Skinnerd, and Point Blank was in that. There was like
Yeah.
tons of bands like that. I love that shit. You know?
I think they had 2 albums, right? Point Blank, if I remember right.
They
I think,
No,
I,
I got at least 3 or 4.
okay. I think I have 2 by him, I think.
I have a signed Point Blank record, if you can believe that.
oh,
Wow.
wow.
I'm a nerd, dude.
Well, they had the commercial. They had the commercial single that came out was called Nicole. But prior to that, there's like with the gun, the double barrel gun on there. There's a screw on the cover, like a bolt and screw. There's another one with them just sitting in like a forest or something like that. So that's at least 3 there. And
Where are they
did
The
from?
one from like the 80s that has all the tubes and shit on it.
Yeah,
Looks
that's the one that had that Nicole
like,
song
right,
on
you're
it.
right.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Nicole's on that. Right. I got that's the one I have signed.
I don't know where they're from though. I'd have to look that up.
I
think
got a.
Black Oak, Arkansas is not from Arkansas, right?
I don't
No, they're
know.
from the Black Oaks.
They're not. I think they're not from Arkansas.
Yeah.
I love that band too.
I don't know if I can fucking click here. Let's see.
That's
I got
supposed
a,
to.
do a package opening. I just got one in today.
Oh, right. I
nice.
remember you saying that we could have this is a first, right?
Yeah, I don't order much anymore. This package is like 3 months into making. So the dude I order from, he just kind of puts stuff aside for me, and I get 4 or 5 records. I pay him, and he ships them out. So
Point Blank's from Texas.
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. That's
So some of the shit's from like 3 months ago, and I can't even remember what it is.
Oh, how exciting!
So let's find out
Oh,
if I can get it out of the box. I know it's all weirdo, obscure metal stuff. So. First one is Vulture. And it's got something in there, and it's all sealed up. So they were an old 80s band. Usually when he posts something, I'll check it out. Like if it's a reissue like this real quick on YouTube and be like, that sounds cool. I'll grab that. So, but I can't remember what they sound like. And here's their second album.
Was that Private Press originally or something? Or
Probably. It's all this, like I said, the stuff I've been going after lately is that obscure, metal stuff. So probably wasn't many. This was from the late 90s, I think. Black Knight. Looks like it comes with a patch.
Cool.
that's from the late 90s? That looks way earlier than that.
That's what I was
Like
thinking.
the 80s.
Yeah. I got a feeling what I looked up at the time was wrong. So I got to investigate this one more.
Man, late 90s, like new metal era.
Yeah. And grab that. Did you grab that, George?
No, I have the originals, so I didn't need it.
Rochester. I didn't see that.
Yeah, the originals are
Is that Japanese? Is that Japanese?
It's a boot. It's made. It's on that.
Faux pas, Japanese. No, which one is that?
It's called Raw Tracks. They did it. There was two Japanese compilations back in the day, Raw Tracks and Raw Tracks 2.
Yeah.
That's fucking
The,
awesome.
yeah.
I want
Yep.
that now.
I think
Damn it.
Laz had it. He shared it a couple months ago. I was like, man, I'm waiting to get it as soon as I get the next package.
Is it like unreleased stuff, live stuff? What is it?
I think it's remixes and live shit, right?
Yeah, I think there's a few live things. There's a
Yeah.
track. But it came out on CD, right, George? If I remember right.
Yeah, they originally came out on disc. Yeah, I went vinyl too. I think I have both of them on vinyl.
Different cover, I think.
Yeah, totally different.
And I do
It was
remember
around the girls era, if I'm not mistaken.
My favorite Motley Crue album, by the way.
in this band. I do remember this Genocide. These guys are out of Chicago, Vance.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah, this is like late 80s, and looks like there's 255 of them they made. But that's on that cult metal deal. So that's kind of crap I've been getting. Like I say, yeah, he's really cool, the dude I buy from, and he just kind of puts stuff together for me, and like every 2-3 months I'll get a package from him.
Mm-hmm.
But we never done a live opening, so I thought I'd do that today.
Yeah.
Killer.
Another first year on the Mancave on Town.
There you go. All right, man. We're a couple hours in. I'm about done.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks
I
for
got
everybody joining in.
I got some shit to do. So
That's why you got to switch the controls over to me. I'll just keep going for another 2 hours.
You guys all need to move to the
let
West
these
Coast.
old guys go to sleep there.
It's
9
nice on
o'clock.
the West Coast. It's like 6 o'clock here.
8 o'clock. I'm going to be up till 1. So you know.
I did spend that the other
I'll
day.
be up for a while. I got stuff to do.
You guys familiar with that? Michael Monroe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hanoi rock singer. It's a great album, man. Freaking love this
I
album.
want that. I want that. I love Hanover Rocks.
This is
I'll
UK.
have it.
Nice.
I need to see now. You got that's at least 2. See, this is why I used to hate
don't-
watching your videos, Greeno, because I'd be like, "Fuck it," I'd be like, "I gotta go buy like 10 records now." Man, you've sold me more records than anybody I've ever met in my life.
Settle down, bub.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's time to get off here.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Always a
Thanks,
pleasure, man.
Thanks for everybody for joining, man. See you
Thanks a
later.
lot.
See y'all next time.
Zach, John, good to hang
See
out
ya.
with you
See
guys.
ya.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
see.